Disclaimer. This video's information is being provided for informational, educational, and general interest purposes only. The information in this video is not intended to shock, enrage, or otherwise provoke the viewer. The sole purpose of this video was to raise awareness of true crime-related events. Copyright disclaimer: under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
The moments are starting to just get more of those.
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
Just trying to, both our kids were there. Trying not to think of the what ifs.
Yeah.
How, whys. Just look forward and.
So from what I understand, you were pulling the float for Citizens Bank?
Yes.
Okay. And Stephanie, were you in the vehicle with Adam?
I was walking,
You were walking.
and my kids were also.
Okay, so you were behind the float.
Yes, I was on the side the car came through, but not up. I was lagging behind a little bit.
Okay. And what are the ages of your children?
Our daughter is 13 and our son is 10.
Okay. Prior to everything happening, do you guys remember anything that seemed out of place or unusual or?
The one thing I remember when I was driving, I heard sirens. And all I thought to myself was, that's odd.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think, we've done a lot of parades.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, I don't think we were by the fire engines, and usually they're usually in front. So we were probably, I don't know, 2/3 of the way back as our number was.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think it, other than, I'm hearing sirens. And my driver's window was down. I had another woman who was volunteering with us. Her 6-year-old daughter was in the passenger seat.
Okay.
With me, so I kept her window up. Usually I do have, so I can keep an ear on things and an eye on things. I'm basically looking backward more than I'm looking forward in these, because I have people walking up, pulling things off the trailer and.
Right.
And so that is the only odd thing I heard that I did say to myself that, I'm hearing sirens.
Yeah.
That was it.
Who was in front of you in the parade?
The dancing grannies.
Were they directly in front of you?
They were directly in front of us, but there was probably, I would say, a good 20 yards between us at this time.
Okay.
So as the road's set up on Main Street, and I don't know the crossroads where we were,
Yeah.
but they were basically at the first crossroad, and then the dance team behind us was about that far behind us,
It seemed like we were the only one on that block.
in between those two cross streets.
Okay. Which makes sense now because they were probably in the 200 block crossing the street.
That would be correct. Their vehicle, they were ahead of their vehicle. They had a small SUV that carried their supplies and had the stereo system on top of it. And they were in front of him,
Mm-hmm.
and he was probably crossing that street. So they had been on that block.
So you heard the sirens.
And that was before we got into that block.
Okay.
Or maybe as I was crossing, because I remember looking to my right, I hear sirens, and I looked over to my right and I could see down the street, but then I just went back into
Driving
Yeah.
the float. Do you remember hearing or seeing anything, Stephanie, prior?
The first thing I saw, or that was out of place, was when I looked. I heard commotion behind me on
Yeah.
the parade route, and it first, but you're so focused on what you're doing, where you're walking, that at first it didn't register, but then I heard something again, and I turned and I looked, and it was pretty dark at that point, and I just remember seeing headlights
Okay.
that were coming. Again, it was probably, I'm terrible with distance, but it was back by, I think, the crossroad. It was a ways back. It was not very close.
And if I keep asking the same questions over, please forgive me. Do you recall hearing the vehicle making any sounds? Do you remember hearing any horns honking?
Not
No.
at all.
Do you remember the sound of a vehicle accelerating?
It felt like as it passed me, it seemed like it was speeding up,
Okay.
and I would have to think that that's because of what I heard, and maybe just because it was zipping by also.
Yeah. So from my understanding, where you were at, the vehicle probably blew past you on your left side.
My right side.
Your right side.
Yes, because I was sitting in the street, but then I saw this coming, and of course your first inclination is to get out of the way, but I didn't know where my kids were.
Right.
So I was kind of moving out of the way, but also looking and there's just so many people that that it was packed. Just the sides of the streets were packed with people watching the parade, and I was looking for them and moving out of the way and watching where this car is going at the same time. It's all kind of a blur, but I stepped off. I don't know if I made it up on the sidewalk, but I was certainly on the side. I guess that would be both directions. I know I was right in front of, what was the name of the cigar bar? Nice Ash Cigar Bar is right where we were, because that's, they ended up pulling us in to the bar. So yeah, I had stepped off, so the car passed between me and the float, which was kind of in the middle of the road.
So there wasn't much distance between you and the vehicle, if I get this right.
No, not at all.
Probably less than an arm's length.
No, it was a little further than that. Again, bad with distance.
Well, we're dealing with memory, and memories,
I know those streets are quite narrow too, so it couldn't have been
yeah,
too far. 5 feet, maybe.
5 feet. Could you feel the vehicle pass you on the right side?
I can't remember. I can't recall if I did.
Okay. I bet you were more surprised, if anything.
Yes. Just trying to process what's going on. And again, trying to figure out where my kids are.
If you need me to stop, let me know.
Okay.
This might get a little difficult. Did you see what happened in front of you then?
Yes. I did. But I saw when the car was about parallel to our Suburban. We were using our personal vehicle.
Yeah.
When the car was about next to the Suburban, I heard the impact, and I saw. We have these red ponchos, fleece ponchos that we wear during parades.
Yeah.
And we all, pretty much all of the people walking the parade, my kids did not have them on though. I didn't have them on.
No,
But I watched where this car was going and about next to the Suburban, heard the impact, and I just remember seeing a red poncho go flying in the air. And that's when I knew that someone from our group had been struck. I did not know who it was at that point. I really did not know. It's hard to describe when you're in a parade. We've done, like he said, we've done a lot of them, and a lot of times you're just honestly trying to keep up with the float, and you're looking at kids and you're throwing candy to them,
Right.
and you're more focused on what you're doing. It's you kind of lose sense of where you are even on the parade route, and I always am worried about, especially when we have kids walking with us, I always tell them, don't get too close to the float, please. Make sure you give yourself good distance.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell people to do never get in between the vehicle and the float when it's moving, because even if it's stopped, he'll start going. He's not, wouldn't necessarily know that somebody had stepped in between.
Right.
Yeah, and then shortly after that, and the car kept going. I don't think it slowed down at all. If anything, like I said, I just got the sense that it was going faster. And I found my kids. I don't remember even which one I found first. But it was pretty quick that I found. Thankfully, I was able to find both of them pretty much one right after another. Just grabbed onto them, and then he came.
So you didn't know where your kids were?
No.
So that.
I knew they were on the side I was on,
Okay.
but I didn't know, like, if they were, how far up or down they were. I guess I had a sense that maybe they were ahead of where I was a little, but again, there was just so many people and it was dark, and at that point, it's just a lot of confusion setting in.
Or what even happened prior to what you had seen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Adam, did you see this happen?
yes. So driving the vehicle, Maddie, the 6-year-old girl in the car, was in the front seat. She was sitting a little bit up on the front seat, and I am constantly in my side mirrors for walkers coming up, grabbing things to throw.
Right.
I was actually looking around her because my normal view was not. She was obstructing it. I checked my right side mirror, and a walker was grabbing some things off the trailer. I checked my speed. I looked at my speedometer. It said 2 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
From that point, I went to my left rear view mirror, and I saw 2 headlights to the side of the vehicle, and I thought for a split second that it was the dance vehicle, the club's vehicle behind me. I kept looking in the rear view mirror to see the impact to Jane.
Yeah.
Hearing it and seeing it, the vehicle hit her. She went up on the hood. Her head impacted the windshield. She was on the hood as it's going by my side. I can hear the vehicle accelerating. The roar of the engine. It was vivid. Again, my window was down. I will tell you, it would be in an arm's length. Like, I could have grabbed her.
Mm-hmm.
The vehicle got in front of me. She fell off the front of the vehicle, and he proceeded to run her over with the right front tire and the right rear tire and accelerate on. at the time he was accelerating on, I had gotten out of my vehicle and was running because I thought it was,
I usually
Thought it was
walking
Stephanie.
alongside him when we do praise. I usually kind of he is when we walk around.
I got up to the person down and was trying to process. She was on her side, face away from me. We're down. I was trying to process what Steph was wearing to figure out who this is. And when I realized it was not Steph, I immediately ran backwards behind the float and found Steph and our two kids on the sidewalk. And immediately ran, once I knew that they were okay, my daughter's best friend was in the dance team behind us. She was in the parade as well.
Is she okay?
She is okay. She is. Her other friend is at Children's right now, and you know, I know Addison's parents weren't there, or her mother was waiting we found out after the fact, but her mother wasn't in the parade with her. So I ran back there to find her and make sure she was okay, and just grabbed her, and she was telling me that their friend Sam is down and was hit, and I just told her to stay with me and stay on the sidewalk. And then some other parents that were in the parade, they stayed together on the sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back to them, and at that time the cigar bar, the people in the bar had opened their doors to let our group in and get them off the streets.
Were you able to see any details regarding the vehicle that passed you? Do you remember the color?
The color was red. I could not identify the driver. I did not. I just watched the person on the hood. I think it was red. Was it can I guess? Was it a Ford?
You know it's a red vehicle, you're just not sure what type. Yeah, it was a Ford.
I mean, just based on the back end, it looked like a Ford.
It was a smaller SUV,
Right.
correct? Yeah. Yeah. You didn't see anything about the driver, though?
No, sir.
Okay. And at this point, it really doesn't matter. We're sure who it is. And yeah, have you seen anything?
No, sir.
Okay.
We have not turned on the news. We're not social media people. So
I've been keeping you have.
I don't have any Twitter, Facebook.
You're better off.
I know.
Yeah, you're better off.
Well, that's a story on its own.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I do know some information about the gentleman just because of my brother is in law enforcement, and
Mm-hmm.
he called me on Tuesday, and he was from Deer Hunting, and he had no clue any of this.
He didn't know that we
That we were. He knew
what had happened as we were there.
how much we were involved.
You guys were like at the epicenter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Block behind you and a block in front of you.
yeah.
Did you know Jane?
No, not really. She had been hired at the bank about a year ago.
Okay.
And because of COVID, I haven't been out to our branches very much.
Okay.
I was trying to think. I think that honestly, was probably the first time I had met her in person.
Okay. Doesn't matter much, but I'm just trying to figure out relationships. You said you hadn't been out to that branch. Are you like a manager, district manager, or?
I'm the marketing director.
Marketing director, okay.
I work out of an office in Waukeska.
Okay.
And kind of the one who always organizes the parades.
Okay.
And we oftentimes have a hard time finding volunteers to want to do them, and we did pull together a pretty large crew for this, but we never found anybody else to drive. So that's how he has gotten roped into a clown to help me out.
You guys had about 12 to 15 in the parade?
I think the sick thing is I have a group photo on my phone that we took before.
I would say about 12 to 15,
I think 13 was my count.
because there were 8 of us that left.
8 of us left together. Alyssa.
And there's 12, there's about 15.
Okay. Those are good.
Mm-hmm.
Some people were brought their kids.
Mm-hmm.
The little one was in the car because her mom said she's slow, she wouldn't keep up. I'm so thankful she was in the car.
Do you guys want to talk at all about the aftermath of anything else you may have seen?
I can, they were in the bar.
They were in the bar. Okay.
Yeah.
We honestly, I'm thankful that we haven't pried too much with our kids. We ask if they want to talk. They, we actually had my daughter speak with someone.
Okay.
Someone who is actually my best friend is becoming a mental health professional for children. She's almost done with school. So anyway, she spoke with her too. But I don't think they may have seen Jane be hit to a degree, maybe as much as I saw, maybe more. I don't know if they were a little further up, but they didn't see as much as I'm sure a lot of other people did, and I'm thankful for that, at least, that we did.
We'll let them talk about it on their own, if they want to bring it up to us and what they saw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna pry.
I don't want to ask them questions. They have not heard this story from me, as far as what I had seen.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really have much more to offer beyond that because, unless there's anything specific we want to talk about again, but we pretty much just took shelter in the bar at that point.
I was on the streets and had gone back to where the dance team was, and saw the 4 girls on the ground, and just, not that I can help, I'm not trained in any of this. I guess just went back to see if I could make sure everybody was being tended to, or I can't answer why I went back there.
Mm-hmm.
People on the streets crying for their children that they couldn't find, yelling. A lot of people were calling out for ones they couldn't find. I went back to where Jane was lying, and there were people doing CPR on her, chest compressions, I remember. And then ambulances. I was doing all of this extremely numb, not comprehending a lot of what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
trying to kind of just pack. At that point, I just started packing everything and trying to get us home. Get the float wrapped up. I wanted to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't quick enough before they started tying everything off and making it the crime scene, and I couldn't do anything.
Was your vehicle stuck down there for overnight?
It was stuck overnight, yeah. I got called the next day.
Okay.
That they were starting to clean up the streets. That was on around noon on Monday. So I had to go back down there, get it. Which, I had her take me to the library, and then I just walked in from the library,
Yeah.
found an officer and said, this is what they told me to do. And then they let me out, and the one officer that helped me and led me out said, did you witness anything? And that's when I gave her my information. And you're good.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Did your vehicle get struck?
No, sir.
Did the float get struck at all?
No, sir.
Okay.
There's gotta be, I maybe moved the vehicle over from where I was. It may have gotten moved over 10 feet closer to the sidewalk, but then I jumped out of the vehicle. So where it was sitting wasn't where, the distances of where he went through. There was a little bit more room.
Okay.
It seemed like you went.
Yeah, I
to the
veered to my left and
a little bit.
hit the park and bolted out of the vehicle.
Where you left it.
And then I tried to wrap everything up, and then we had everyone at that point in our group. There were 8 of us left. We had a couple of,
And
Alyssa, yeah, there were 10 of us. So
Alyssa and your friend were there too.
We had to get to their vehicles over by the library and the middle school.
Yeah.
Or whatever's over there, and then we just all walked as a group.
I've talked to a lot of people. I keep hearing about balloons popping.
I can't answer that, sir.
Do you recall anything about balloons popping? Okay.
I do remember as we were going into the bar that there were some people saying that there were shots fired. That message was, I did hear after the fact that was an officer trying to stop the vehicle back earlier in the route. But that felt like it was coming from the, back, meaning, behind us on the parade route. It felt like that rumor was kind of coming up the street a little bit.
Like it was happening in front of?
No, like people that were coming from behind, like where the dance team was, from that direction,
Okay.
coming towards our where we were on the street. People were saying, somebody was saying that there were shots fired, but I don't recall hearing. I'm sure if I had heard any popping noise of any kind, I would have freaked out about that, but I don't remember hearing anything that would have been gunshots or balloons or anything like that.
Okay.
It is pretty loud in the streets, especially at this parade.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people,
Music.
so there is a lot of crowd noise. There's a lot of music.
Right.
So you hear things, and there's a lot of. It's a parade. There's a lot of odd things that happen. So if you hear something like that, then your mind probably would go off to it's a parade act.
Yeah. Is there anyone else I should follow up with what they may have seen? I've talked to Karen. I don't know if you know Karen.
Yes, I know Karen.
I've talked to Kristen.
Okay. They were. I probably saw a lot more too, because I'm guessing they were.
Seems like Kristen was rather close, and Karen is probably just a little bit over. Yeah.
My understanding is that a basically the head of our HR, who is also there, has, I don't know if it's your card, or she said has a card.
I gave a card to Karen.
Maybe that's what she gave to Sarah.
Okay.
So, because there were a few more adults that were there.
Okay. If anyone's willing and has anything else they want to share, I am more than willing to meet them.
Okay.
I don't know if I made that clear with you. I could have went out to Waukeska, so.
No, again, no, we're good.
Do either of you have a driver's license with your current information on it?
Yes.
So it's just easier to write that stuff down. Did you stay home for Thanksgiving, or did you go somewhere?
No, we were home.
Okay.
I don't think we've done a lot of leaving home.
That was the plan anyway.
Yeah.
We just have a few people there.
Thank you. What are good phone numbers for both of you?
262-719-1610.
And Adam?
414-550-8036.
If you don't want to answer this, don't feel like you have to. I don't want to be particularly ghoulish here. When he drove past you with her on the hood, do you remember any other details?
I remember thinking it was my wife,
Okay.
just because of the red sashes, so it's hard to identify.
Yeah.
I remember I whether it's vivid or not, it seems vivid that I saw her head hit the windshield, and then, it was like I could have grabbed her.
It was that close.
And, because, yeah, he hit her with that side of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And she went up she went up onto the hood, like, on her back, and it smacked right here on me.
And you think you could have, if you wanted to, you could have grabbed her? Okay.
I mean, it was a flash but the sound of the vehicle accelerating at this point with someone on a hood that's very vivid.
I guess with that observation, this seemed very intentional.
Absolutely. I mean, to yes.
I know that sounds like a dumb statement for me to say it like that.
No,
but
it needs to be said. It
Yeah.
needs to be. There was no. There in watching someone not only get hit, but then get run over,
Yeah.
there is no remorse
No.
whatsoever inside that vehicle.
There's no attempt to stop at all.
It is
Or avoid.
100% selfishness.
Yeah.
Or, to be honest with you, sir, when I found my family and my son is crying and asking why, all I could think about was this is an act of terror. This is, and I said terrorism.
Mm-hmm.
Again, until when Jason called me and helped me, realize some things that he's like, God placed you guys where he did. Just focus on that.
Right.
And don't look back. Don't think of what if, because it's going to kill you. It's going to eat you alive. And as as he was talking me through, what he said, do you want to know? He goes, it wasn't terrorism, but do you want to know?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah. And he informed me on what's happened over the few basically this guy's history.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a selfish individual.
There, there was no remorse, intent to stop, care, or anything
Mm-hmm.
by what I witnessed and heard. Unfortunately, my vision went complete
To her.
tunnel when I saw what was Jane on the ground.
Right.
I didn't look up, and I lost pretty much most of my senses at that point,
Mm-hmm.
until I could process, and this is selfish as well, but that it wasn't her.
I don't think it's selfish.
It feels that way when
No, it's not.
But, so if anything, and if I can't help with anything from that point going forward,
Didn't see anything that
from
happened
Jane going
beyond.
forward, I didn't see anything happen that way.
Well, you've been extremely helpful, though. You're painting a very vivid picture of what happened. I mean, it may not seem like it. It may seem like a little small piece, but it's extremely vivid. I mean,
It's living in here.
yeah. I mean, what you witnessed is horrible. There's video of it. To hit somebody, that's horrible. For them to hit the hood, that's horrible. But there's a whole new level when they're run over.
Oh.
And I'll share with you after I turn off the recorder, but I appreciate you guys coming in and telling us about this. Thank you. And if there's anyone else that's able to share this, what they witnessed, or if they have anything that they want to add, let me know. Right now we're in the middle of triaging what people have seen and what they're telling us. There's hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people on the road.
Yeah.
And some of them said, well, I saw the aftermath. Well, it was horrible, but I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, and thank you for letting us know, but it's not what we're looking for at this point.
Right?
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah. So thank
That
you.
was one of the things that Jason also said is, would you be willing to testify?
Yeah.
He goes, you were that close.
Yeah.
Now, if this is not sufficient evidence, is that, you think, going to be necessary?
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know.
fair enough. I'm willing.
Okay. Thank you for already having that internal discussion. I haven't even really brought that up with people I'm discussing with this at this point, because I don't even know if it's going to be necessary or not. You know,
Understood.
as Jason might tell you, I mean, a lot of these don't even go to a trial.
He did not say that. He just said you may have to do
We
this.
may have to. And to be honest with you, I haven't really evaluated this much, but an individual in this situation has nothing to lose by going to a jury trial. He really has nothing to lose.
Right.
This will become a spectacle. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
In today's day and age.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He is, I mean, he's looking at a long time. And I don't think anyone's going to negotiate with him as far as time off. You can't. I mean, what he did was completely ghoulish. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm now sharing too much, but
No. You know, you should not have been on the streets in the first place.
no.
A bail should have been set way higher that people can't afford the second time you're in there for a domestic.
Right.
Anything.
Right. Especially hitting his girlfriend over.
Yeah,
Mhm.
running
Yeah.
someone over before.
Yeah.
You're a threat to society.
But that's the thing that I've dealt with my whole career. My whole career is horrible things are
And
not.
people don't stop being bad people.
Well, yeah, but crimes aren't perpetrated. Horrible crimes aren't perpetrated by citizens of Waukesha County on other citizens of Waukesha County.
Right.
It's never the case. The majority of the people I deal with are from Milwaukee County. Sadly. You know, sometimes it's the domestic related incident, yes. You know, but all of the homicides we've had, generally, I'm speaking in generalities, have always been a Milwaukee County resident. I'm a Waukesha County resident. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so today is the 23rd of November, and it's 10:06 a.m., and I am here, or we are here, with Elizabeth. How do you say your last name?
Brandis.
Brandis? Okay. And your middle initial is A, right?
Yes.
313 of 02?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then Tony Lima Road, not right? Yeah.
Lima Lane.
I'm like, County? Tony? I couldn't understand.
Tony Lima Lane.
Tony Lima Lane. All right. So you had said that you were standing, were you in front of the mainstream bar and grill, or?
I was in between, like, across, so looking at Mainstream Bar and Grill, and then, like, the Planned Parenthood building. I was kind of, like, in between those two,
Okay.
on
You-
the other side of the road.
On the south side of the road.
Yes.
Okay. And would you say that you're standing kind of shoulder to shoulder with people? Or were you sitting?
We were sitting in bag chairs.
Okay. Was it pretty crowded where you were?
It was pretty crowded. We had a group of probably 8 or so people with us, like, in our bunch, and then next to us to the right was a family, and then another family to our left.
Okay. Were you on the curbside or were you in the road?
In the road.
You were in the road, like
Yep,
so.
just in front of the curb.
Okay. And there are parking stalls there that
Mhm.
run at a diagonal, maybe, or okay. And were you there with her too,
I
Mom?
was not.
No. Okay.
No, we came to pick her up later.
Okay. All right. And you weren't at the parade at all? No. Okay. So I guess kind of explain to me what exactly you saw.
So as the groups were going through, marching band, another dance group, and so forth, there's another group of mostly adults that was passing us and waving when the SUV came through. And then all of a sudden, like, as we're waving to everyone passing, one of the little girls in the family next to us was going in the road to pick up some candy. And then you have the other little boys next to her cheering, like, woo. And then we heard tires screeching and just kind of looked up for a second, like, what was that? And then we saw the SUV just come blaring through the middle of the road, which I know is different than a lot of the footage being shown, but when he was over by us towards the tail end of the parade, it was right through the middle. And when he was hitting the people, it looked like bowling pins, just mannequins flying off the hood and over the roof. And the little girl next to us actually ended up getting hit when she was in the road.
How old would you say she was?
I don't think she could have been more than 7.
Mm.
She was little. She got hit so hard, she got knocked out of her shoes.
Do you know where she went? Like where she ended up?
She ended up not too far from where they were sitting, like from where we were sitting from the curb. She got knocked back probably 5 feet.
Oh,
So she was right where they were sitting, but
okay.
they did CPR on her for quite a while. Myself and my boyfriend's sister actually, like right when it happened, once it all sunk in with us what happened, we both just jumped up out of our chairs and started doing whatever we could.
Right.
So we were helping like keep compression on people's heads until more paramedics were able to get through, because it took a while for them just to be able to get through everybody.
Right.
So we were helping different people, but my boyfriend's mom was the one that was with the little girl for a while, and she was one of the first people, I'm pretty sure, that actually was taken away in an ambulance, which is good.
Okay.
She definitely needed that attention. It was absolutely horrifying. Just everyone laying there, the squeals. I think that was one of the biggest things. I know, like, when people were saying they heard gunshots, because my boyfriend at the time was with his grandma taking her to her car after it happened, and they were ushered into the Civic when the gunshots were fired off because they wanted everyone to get out the road and into the heat if they had to wait. And we didn't hear that by us because it was so loud with people just screaming and just all the chaos.
Really?
We didn't hear any gunshots where we were.
Okay.
Saw him? Oh, that's kind of a... and then while he was passing us, it was almost like slow motion when he was within 10 feet of where we were sitting, because he was we were on the side of the road. And he was in
the middle of the road,
and he was in the middle of the road. And when he was at least passing our set of chairs, he was looking through his side window, and that's when I actually caught a glimpse of his face. And do you want me to?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sure.
So then the person I saw on the driver's side, because we were on the left side of the road when he was coming down, African-American male, 30s, thinner face.
Okay, yep. Okay, did you notice anything more about him, what he was wearing?
He was
wearing anything?
More of like a slouched posture in his seat, not very erect. Did not seem very engaged with what he was doing.
Okay. Did you notice if he was waving his hands, trying to get people out of the way?
Mm-mm.
He was not?
No, he was just pedal to the metal all the way down the street.
How fast? You think he was going at a high rate of speed?
I would have guessed by us he was probably going between 40 and 50 miles an hour.
Mm. And did you hear at any time him honking the horn?
No.
No honking on the horn.
I did not hear
Did he
honking.
ever make any attempt to stop?
Not from where we were, no.
Okay. So he hit the little girl first. You saw her?
She was one of the first. I think what I really saw and took in was when he was coming through the middle and he hit a group of adults. Okay. Like one of the victims I was helping was he was 64 years old. His birthday was yesterday.
Do you have any idea what group this was, what they were from?
I don't remember. I think it might have been one of the Catholic groups that was in the parade.
Okay.
I'm not positive. But there were just quite a wide array of people in the road of whoever was marching with.
Okay. Like wide array of ages?
Ages and like there were a couple Hispanic people I actually had to help translate for an EMT that was there.
Okay.
I will say though, it was amazing seeing people come together after this, because if people weren't taking their kids away to shield them, people were bringing blankets that they had at the parade, like keeping themselves warm to keep the victims warm.
Yeah.
Offering up towels and washcloths that they found from someplace. Just anything they could do to help if they weren't able to help in another way.
Right. Good.
I think another thing that also hit really hard to home when I was there was the little girl that was next to us that got hit. Her family was also Hispanic and they didn't speak very good English. She was there with her mom, her dad, and 2 older siblings. And while they were doing CPR on her, they were talking and yelling like, she's breathing again, and then they took her pulse, and they're saying that her pulse is weak, and her mom is over there just sobbing, like absolutely just mortified, and then her dad is frantically calling people, and her siblings were just kind of standing there crying because they didn't know what to do, and they had to be under 10 years old. So I started to kind of usher them back towards the grass that was behind the sidewalk, and the dad kind of started to touch my arm like, no, those are my kids. And I looked at him and I said, can I take them over there? And I said, I don't want them to see.
In Spanish, or did you?
I did it in English, and
English?
I gestured
Okay.
because I didn't want to try and prolong it.
Right.
And then he finally just looked at me and said, thank you. So then I took the kids back onto the grass, and they literally just hugged me for 5 minutes and just cried into my jacket. And then shortly after, the dad came up to me once he was done on the phone, letting whoever know he was calling. And he told me thank you again. And like one of the girls was saying thank you. And I walked away because that's when he was with them when they were taking the little girl into the ambulance with her mom.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. They shouldn't have had to see that. No one should have to see
No.
that, but especially a young kid seeing their younger sibling being taken into an ambulance and
Right.
having chest compressions done.
And being hit like that, and yes.
Mm-hmm.
The male that you tended to,
Mm-hmm.
did he, what did he look like when you were tending to his injuries?
So he had a minor head lack. So we were keeping compression on. There were some towels and washcloths people were bringing us, which
Yeah.
was very nice of them. But he was also complaining of upper left chest pain and his really severe left shoulder pain. So naturally we were presuming he just got hit really, really hard on that side.
Right.
I will say another thing. He got hit so hard, and I know this isn't completely uncommon, but his eyes were bloodshot, and he did have some blood coming from his tear ducts. And then once another, someone who wasn't on the job, but an EMT came over and was helping me and my boyfriend's sister, because we were at the same person at that time.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, we're gonna, she was asking, and I noted that I was a nursing student.
Yeah.
She said, okay, I'm gonna have you hold the flashlight, and we're gonna inspect his abdomen and his shoulder together. So we lifted up, took the blankets off, lifted up his shirt. He had some bruising on his left side, so I'm gonna presume he had at least some bruised ribs, probably broken.
Yeah.
And his shoulder looks slightly malformed, so I'm gonna guess he probably dislocated his shoulder also.
Okay.
But straightening out his legs to make sure he had better blood flow, it was just chaos everywhere.
And this whole time, people are running around screaming. or-
The screaming was more so towards the beginning. Once I think it sunk in with people what was happening, and they started to take their kids away.
Yeah.
It was more of just like anyone who was still there was trying to help.
Right.
So it was not necessarily calm and collective, but
Right.
most of the screaming you'd hear is from people being moved that were hit.
Okay.
So like another lady I tended to when I was helping translate, the EMT and I were talking, and we think she might have broken her pelvis. Just from how she was describing it was just awful. And that was one where anytime you do anything to just try and not even palpate, but just
to touch.
to touch anywhere,
yeah.
she'd just moan and grimace horribly. I think there was another man across the road that broke his leg. I was mostly bringing him blankets to keep him warm, but there were just people lying everywhere.
How many people do you think were lying? What would you estimate?
Within our block, I would probably guess between 12 and 15 people. It was just horrendous.
And where did the car go? Did you notice where the car ended up going?
So where we were closer to that corner because it was just past the corner of Main and Maple.
Yeah.
So you're getting towards that curve in the road.
Yeah.
I saw him go past the curve, but I didn't see anything after that because of buildings and just tunnel vision.
Right. Did you, prior to him coming past you, first of all, can you describe the car to me?
It was a red SUV.
Okay. And can you, do you remember seeing it coming down towards you at all? Or when was your first recollection of seeing something that was abnormal in the
It was
parade?
probably like at an angle here,
Sure.
probably a 35, 40-degree angle going to the right when
Yeah.
I started to just hear more panic on that side.
Okay.
And you hear the screaming and then you hear tires squealing. You're like, what's happening?
Okay.
So then I turned and looked and I just kind of plopped back in my seat and was like, what is happening? And then my eyes just followed with him as he was driving past until he got past us and just kept going.
Right. Okay.
But he just plowed through the middle.
Were you injured at all?
I was not, no.
Okay. And he came about 10 feet from you?
Just because of where we were sitting on the side of the road, because he was right in the middle.
Okay.
That would be my guesstimate.
Okay.
No, luckily, no one in my party was hurt at all. We were very grateful.
Yeah, absolutely.
The exception of Rachel's name.
Well, yeah, my boyfriend's sister, the one that was helping with me,
Yeah.
she was repositioning herself in the road and got some glass shards in her hand from the windshield or I don't know what broke, but something.
Something came off of the vehicle, you feel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And she had shards in her hand.
Okay. Do you recall when he went by, you said that he was going, I think you said 30, or how fast? do you
Probably,
know?
I would guess between 40 and 50 miles an hour. I know it's probably different when you're sitting,
Right.
but he was not going
Did you feel
30
like-
or less, because I
Right.
know it's 25 down there for
Yeah.
the speed limit.
Yeah. Plus you're in a parade.
You're in a parade
Right. Yeah.
when people are going 3 miles an hour.
Right. And did you feel like any air movement, like if you've ever been like maybe on the interstate or when a car passes you real
You can
fast and you
kinda-
kind of feel that like either percussion or the wind or like a whizzing, or do you remember any of those senses when you went by?
I don't remember feeling anything. I remember hearing it though, because or at least the engine revving, where it was, I don't know if he started to speed up, because quite honestly, I don't really know where he came from down the road.
Okay.
I just remember, because I went in one direction and the sister went in the other. So it was just, I remember hearing something, like I remember hearing the tires and then hearing the engine, hearing screaming, and just seeing him pass. And then after it kind of processed with me for a second or two, I just immediately jumped out of my chair and bolted in one direction. And I remember the first time I turned around after helping like 2 people, I turned around and I think my jaw actually did drop unintentionally because I hadn't looked behind me. And I saw how many people were on the ground and was like, oh my God, that really did just happen.
So you're seeing multiple people up the road. So
Mhm.
going eastbound, you're seeing multiple people in the road and seeing how many people he hit.
Yep.
Okay.
There was a point where I actually thought the little girl that was next to us didn't make it
Oh.
because like I said before, my boyfriend's mom was tending to her for most of the time, and I saw she was backed away, and that's when I started to, first I checked on her because I wanted to make sure she was okay, and she was trying to get a hold of her sister because her nephew was in the parade for the Waukesha West marching band.
Okay.
So then, sorry, it was a bit of a tangent, but then walked back over, and that's when I was with the siblings.
Okay.
And then once the dad came over, that's when they were hauling her away. But they were still yelling and checking on her before they hauled her on put her on the stretcher and onto the gurney. So once I was starting to migrate towards someone else, I saw her being carried away, but I heard a different sob in the mom's voice. And I just thought it was bad news all around. I don't think I will forget that. I'm not even a parent, and I know that that's no sound
Right.
anyone would ever want to hear. It was devastating.
And you said that she was knocked out of her shoes?
Mm-hmm.
And describe that to me.
I'm fairly certain I'm gonna assume just from the collision if she lost footing or I didn't see her actually
Come out of her shoes.
come out of her shoes, but they were probably 2 feet in front of her.
What color were her shoes? Remember?
I don't remember.
Or just kind of describe, like
maybe purple, like they were little sneakers. They weren't.
Okay. But you know that those were her shoes and she no longer had them on.
Yeah, because she was in her socks.
Yeah. Did she land on her back?
I believe so.
Okay. Okay. That is an awful thing for anyone to see. And I'm so sorry you saw that. I apologize.
It's okay.
After the driver left his car, how do you know he left his car?
I'm just gonna presume it was when he left his car because it was more of there's a dangerous person on campus from this text messages.
Oh, from Carol?
From Carol. It was when they kept sending a text out saying that a lockdown was in place, a stay inside was in place, stay where you are. I found out yesterday actually when I went back to school to pick up my stuff, and I hadn't seen my roommate since before the parade, so wanted to go see him. And I found out one of my best friends at school, not my roommate, but who was there, she was studying for a big exam we were supposed to have yesterday. She was studying in the library. And she was in the library when all these messages were going out, and they told people to hide in the library. So she was locked in a closet for over 3 hours.
Wow.
Because you think of places where he might go if he was on campus, because they didn't know.
Right.
And it was, you're in a library.
Where are you going to
You
go?
can't go
You can't
anywhere.
go anywhere.
So she hid in a closet in the library for over three and a half hours.
Wow. Until,
And
what made her come out? Was that she got
when we got the all clear, because
Holy
main campus
cow.
got an all clear, we were still on lockdown because we were so close to Maple.
Was she by herself in that closet?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And she was texting one of my roommates, like this, she just kept repeating herself, this is so scary. Once I heard that, my heart broke yesterday.
Yeah.
Because you hear about just everyone on the road that'll be traumatized, that's traumatizing. Being locked in the dark in a closet by yourself for over 3 hours,
Right.
knowing nothing.
Right. Not knowing what's going on. No other additional
Nothing, you just hear that
alerts,
there's
yeah.
a dangerous person on campus.
Right.
And at the end of their big alert messages, it's the run, hide, fight, which
Yep.
is nice to know, but in that situation is not
No.
all that comforting.
He's sitting there for 3.5 hours wondering if somebody's going to go and open the door, right,
because
or
I
try
mean
to
you're
get in.
studying for an exam. What
Right.
do you have to protect yourself in the library?
True.
Like throw a book?
Right.
It's not exactly
Right.
the best place to be in if you're trying to hide from somebody.
Right. Wow.
That one broke my heart yesterday, though. Out of all the things I heard and saw, that one was, I think, probably one of the worst. And it doesn't sound like it, but I just thinking about it from a different perspective, because I wasn't on campus
Right.
when all this was happening.
Right. And so you would think that, so your point is that people on campus or in the community who would have received these texts saying that there's a dangerous person, and then they go and they lock themselves and they're hiding, wondering if this person's
You're living in panic.
panic, and so a whole nother panic outside of the panic
Compared to what we were
what you
feeling,
just
because
saw.
ours was panic and it was the aftermath of the tragedy that we were looking at.
Right.
Theirs was still
ongoing.
still ongoing
Right.
for hours.
Right.
Because, like I said, it felt like we were there for hours tending to these victims, but we were only there for I don't even think it was a full hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably closer to like an hour, 15 minutes that we were actually tending to before we left and started heading towards the car.
Sure.
My friend she was suffering through that for over 3 hours
Yeah.
by herself.
Yeah. Have you seen her yet?
I haven't, no, because she went home yesterday for
Did she?
break.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
texted her right after I heard that, though, and I was like, I am so, so sorry you
Right.
had to go through that. I had no...
Well, you wouldn't know that that's what she was doing, right?
No. And people, when I try and talk to them, they say, I wish I had more to tell you. And I'm like, I wish I did too. And going back to me trying to talk to my friend who was in the library, I told her, I'm like, I wish there was something I could say to you. Because I was like, even though I was with everyone who was suffering, she had nobody. I still had someone I could look to and ask for help.
Right.
Or I could offer help. I couldn't do that for her.
Right. Oh, first you don't know that she's in there.
No.
And you've got at least the awareness of what's happening around you and updating you, right? You can take that all in, and she's hiding. She has no idea. She has no updates, right?
Well, the other thing was one of my other good friends at school. She's in the marching band at Carroll.
Okay.
And we didn't even see the Carroll's marching band or Waukesha South or the Dancing Grannies. Like literally, they didn't even make it to us when this all happened. So once I heard Carroll was actually in it, I panicked and I was like, oh my gosh, is my friend okay? And then I ended up texting her when we got back to the house because all things were
Calm. Yeah.
calmer.
Did Carol ended up getting hurt at all?
I don't know if anyone in the band was hit, but I know that was partially because it was before Waukesha South.
Okay.
So he was going around like Pio Pete, and that was when he was kind of staying more to the side or kind of swerving.
So he probably drove past them. But
I think he might have drove past because they weren't at all. If anyone was hit, not at all hit like the poor kids in the Waukesha South band.
Yeah.
That's just devastating.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. All right. I can't think of anything else. Can you think of anything else that you want to say?
Nope.
Mom, you have anything?
No, I'll just say that the trauma of all of it is far and wide. I mean, even the band director at Muskego is having problems with it.
Yeah.
He was the band director at South.
Oh,
Well,
really?
and he made a point too, because my younger sister's in the
Yeah.
Muskego marching band. He made a point yesterday to them in class. He's like, us high school band teachers, at least in Wisconsin, are a very tight-knit community.
They all know each other.
We all know each other. We're all friends. And he's like, anytime something like this happens, it hits hard to home.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Well, it's the mental scars on those kids and
Yeah.
trying to get them going again. And they know the band director.
Yep.
You know, they're going
Yep.
to be rebuilding their band program from the ground up.
Yeah. Who's gonna wanna?
Who's going to
They're-
want to? It's the mental trauma of the kids
Yep.
there. But, you know, there's right down to the,
I can't imagine going back to school,
no.
No.
especially like if I like going back to your band class.
One of his, the one who's like one of the two band directors of Muskego, his son goes to South. It's
Okay.
not in the band, but one of his best friends is, and the friend has a broken femur.
Oh.
So I just can't even fathom what these parents are going through.
Yeah.
Can't.
Well, then you hear of anyone who, like my friend that's in the Carroll band, she was supposed to go, but then decided last minute not to go
Oh.
because of our exam that we had.
Yeah.
She wanted to study. So it was the last minute, I'm not going to be there. And you're like, by the grace of God, you weren't there.
Yep.
Well, and by the grace of God and guardian angels, he hit 10 feet in front of you. And
Yeah.
not where you were sitting.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
life would be forever changed.
Yes. Yep. And you think about how it's changed forever for a lot of these families.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was just horrible.
Yeah.
Senseless.
It is
Senseless.
senseless, and I just, as my husband said, he said the face she saw looking out that window is the face of the devil, because where else could that evil come from? To have have such a disregard for human life is just unspeakable.
Right. Okay. Well, I thank you for
Detective Aurelio Serrano, reference IR 21-47493. I'm in room 161 at City Hall with Junior A. Calderon, Calderon, and Elizabeth A. Calderon. Okay. So, the parade was on the 21st. What time did you guys, I guess, get to Magellan's?
We got there, it was
little before 4, because the parade started at 4. So it was about 3:45, I'd say.
Okay, so about 3:45 p.m. And it was you two,
Our friend Anna
Anna,
and Melinda.
and then Amanda, Mariana, after they finished in
Yes.
the parade. Okay. All right, 3:45 p.m. Okay. What time, ballpark best guess, what time did Amanda and Mariana join you guys?
I would say about 4:15, right around a little after 4. by the
Okay.
time. Yeah, because they were in the beginning of the parade, so.
Okay. All right, and then just walk me through exactly what you saw.
Like I said, we were just sitting there watching the parade, and we heard some screaming. I heard screaming coming down from east down Main Street, and when I turned to look, I saw the red SUV swerve over to the south side of the road in front of Yamashita, and strike a lady that was there. I wasn't sure if she was in the parade or not in the parade, but I saw him hit her. She flew up and fell off the car, and then he went ahead like 50 feet, not even maybe, to that next building, Curry, and hit another guy, and he went flying. And
Was that guy part of the parade or by somebody watching?
that I don't know.
Okay.
I couldn't say if I know he was. His back was to the car, so I don't know if he was in the parade or not, though.
Okay. So he hit the second person. You said the first one was a female?
Yes.
And the second one
Was a man.
Yeah. Could you tell with the female, younger, older?
She was older.
Older?
Yes.
Okay. And the male, younger, older?
I'd say 40s maybe.
Okay.
He didn't seem like he was too old.
Okay. Color hair? Or, do you remember any of that stuff?
Yeah, I would say
Okay.
black, dark hair, I
Okay.
guess, but
Okay, so he hit this this man near Curry.
yeah.
Okay, and what happened next with the SUV, the red SUV?
He just kept going. By that time, I had, everybody was running and scrambling, and I was trying to get my wife and everybody that was with us into Magellan's.
Okay.
Because I didn't know what was going on, but.
Okay.
And then I didn't see the car after that, but
Okay.
I stopped seeing him, like, once he got to Maple Avenue.
Okay.
That's when I was more towards these guys trying to get them inside. So
Okay. So the last time you saw the vehicle, was it still in the
it
roadway?
was still in that same lane. It was on the south side of Main Street heading west.
Okay. And then that's when you got everybody and took them inside. Okay. Can you describe the driver of the vehicle?
At the time I saw he was dark. I did see braids in his hair.
Okay. Dark meaning?
Yeah, like Hispanic or black. Or,
Okay.
He was dark complected.
Okay.
Yes.
Dark complexion. You said braids.
Yeah.
Could you tell if there was anybody else in the vehicle?
No. I didn't think there was,
Okay.
but I didn't really look.
Okay. So he was on the south side of the road. You were on the north side of the road.
Yes.
When you saw him, were you looking through the windshield, through the side? Through the side?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's when I got a good shot of him. After he hit the first lady,
Okay.
I was kind of kitty corner, so I could just see the windshield, but I was focused on the lady. And then when he went by, that's when I could see straight through the passenger window.
Okay. And where was his head? Where was his head? Was he looking straight ahead to the side?
Straight ahead.
Okay.
No expression. He had one hand on the steering wheel, like he was like on a Sunday drive.
Okay.
But he wasn't. There was no brakes, no nothing. It was just straight through.
Okay. Would you say, as far as the speed of the vehicle, did it seem like a constant speed? Was he?
I kind of I thought it was a constant speed. I mean, I could tell he was going faster than 25.
Okay.
But I mean, like I said, there was no brakes. It was just straight through, like nothing.
Okay. Okay. Anything else that you could, as far as a description, or anything that stood out, whether it was about the vehicle or the person driving the vehicle?
No, not really. I mean, other than already having the dent on the, car before he got to that lady.
Okay, so before he hit the lady, the vehicle was already...
It was already dented.
Where?
On the hood.
The hood?
Yeah, like probably more towards the driver's side. It looked like, I think. I mean, because I was looking at it at an angle, so it was hard to tell what.
And then again, the vehicle kept going west, and the last time you saw it was... He was entering where Maple passed, where Maple comes off of there. So just past Maple, that's the last time you saw the vehicle, because you guys were getting inside. Okay. When you guys were inside, was there any talk? I'm assuming there were other people besides you guys.
Yeah.
Was there anybody else who maybe you overheard, or I've got video, I've got pictures, anything like that? Was there any discussion like that inside?
No, when we were going inside, I heard somebody say that there were gunshots.
Okay.
And that's why I was like, we need to get in there, and we went in there, and everybody was just kind of freaking out, wondering what happened.
Okay. How long were you guys inside?
We were probably in there for 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Yeah, my daughter Amanda was on the phone. I don't know if she was trying to get a hold of Monica, but Monica had ended up calling me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And telling us, that
to get out of
to
there.
get out of there because someone drove through there and.
Okay.
She was trying to reach us before. She didn't know that it had already happened.
Okay. All right. So you guys were in there 10 minutes and then you guys left?
Yeah,
or?
we ended up leaving.
Okay. Did you have any contact with any officers or any of the CSOs, anybody that night?
No.
Okay, you guys just got out of there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We piled into one car. We left everybody else's car down
because
there.
their cars were parked.
Okay. Did you guys, Jones has a back door. Did you guys go out the back door?
Yes.
Okay, into lot 3?
Yeah, we were parked in the, what is it lot called? Across from where they have the fresh market.
Okay.
We were parked in there.
Okay, yeah. So you guys didn't see anything on the street after you went inside?
I mean, other than people running out to try to help the people.
All right. That's actually probably the best for everyone.
Yeah, I don't know. I told her I felt bad because I didn't.
Nobody can second guess themselves, you know. I mean, that's just it's one of those things that, you know, you gotta take care. You gotta take care. So, and I mean, you wouldn't want to further expose your granddaughter to something like that. So, okay. Was there anything else from the time that this all started till you guys left that we haven't discussed as far as anything? Whether it's the vehicle, the person driving, something else that you noted?
No, I mean, other than seeing that first lady laying there, you know.
Okay.
She wasn't, she was having a hard time breathing.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
that was about it.
Picking the guy up at 12.
Yeah.
They don't prep him. Like, oh, we're not going to do that until you get here. Then we got stuck in count. So we didn't pick him up until after 1.
Oh, really?
So they couldn't clear count for an hour.
Okay.
So,
So it's Patrick?
yeah. Yes.
And what's your middle initial, Patrick?
J.
And it's Lenz, right?
Yes.
Lenz?
TZ.
TZ. Your date of birth?
10/10/77.
Okay. What's a good address for you?
4470 Imperial Drive, Brookfield. 53045.
53045. Thank you. So, you were at the parade yesterday?
Yes.
Do you remember whereabouts?
Yes. Give me 1 second. Because I'm not familiar with Waukesha.
Okay.
That's why I put into the email. I don't send many emails, so I can find it quick. I'm gonna tell you exactly where it's at. We're at 333 West Main Street.
Who did you send that the email to?
To the general email, police@waukesha-wi.gov.
Can you do me a favor?
Yes. Before that to you?
Yeah.
Go ahead, address.
CKOEPPEL.
Wait, hold on, I messed that up. CKOE
PPEL
PPEL
at Waukesha
WAUKESHA
dash
dash
WI.gov. So you're at 333 or 338?
333.
333 West Main Street.
Do you want to take a look at what I wrote in the email?
Sure.
There is nothing private on this stuff.
Yeah, that was very well written.
We're used to documenting, you know.
Yeah. I kind of figured as much.
So I only took one picture just as a location beacon
Okay.
because I know that people were filming, and I just think it's, death is not a social media event. I only took two pictures the whole day, one of my wife and I. And then, so this would be that store. I mapped it at that 333 address.
Yeah.
So that's where the curve goes out. So that'd be one of our chairs. And that is a lady who I described as looking dead. That's who I think died in the street. So you'll see, like, this is...
Oh, jeez.
You're fine. There's nothing in there. This is what I described as where the wine store meets the cafe, where there was an officer in the parade, and that would be like the little angle to where, if she's not dead, it'd be a miracle, because she was lifeless.
Okay. And that's one of her coworkers?
No, so not really in the statement, just thinking about it. That lady was in the street, and it didn't seem like anyone was immediately focused towards her.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she was a parade marcher. I don't know if people just scattered so fast. But, somebody was calling for help, but not like there wasn't a family around her. Like, that's my mom, that's my,
Right.
So I don't know who she was. I noticed over the street there were a bunch of little kids. So she didn't seem to be a little kid. So again, I don't really know who she was. This picture then, at this point, you can't see it, but there were 3 squad cars back. So initially happened, there was no squads there. So this is probably, because we got rushed into a store, I think somebody thought there was an active shooter.
Right.
So this is probably 15 minutes later. When, I'm not saying the squads didn't just get there, but this picture that I took was probably 15 minutes after the fact.
Okay.
I just took one quick picture so I had documentation of because I thought someone's dead.
Right.
So I just wanted one quick notification of where I was at. Not being a Waukesha native.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense.
Right, and then if you look where our chair is, this is where the curve juts out. So my son was there, my mother-in-law was there, and then there was that big Santa in front of People's Place, that cardboard, that wood.
Yeah.
And that would be the next person. So that's exactly where we were, where the road bends.
Okay.
So
you're this way.
Yeah.
Would be west. This is east. The
Yeah.
parade's coming down this way.
Correct.
Okay.
And there's me, and the road juts, and like the parking spot juts out, and my one son and wife my wife and my son were to my right, and my other son, my 10-year-old, was the curves going up, or out, and then my mother-in-law, and then it was the next people sitting in front of that cardboard, that wood Santa Claus that was right in front of People's Place.
People's Park.
People's Park. There you
Okay.
go. People's Park.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're right there.
Just trying to recall the email. Don't want to rehash old ground. Did you see anybody get hit directly?
Yeah, the across the street, like that lady who was down, it hit. You heard the thud. So.
Then I think I might be confusing this.
Yeah.
You're on Main Street.
I'm on Main. Yep.
You're sitting on the north side of the road.
No, I'm not good with where I'm at. Maps. Let's get rid of this direction and that. Okay. Again, so let's go to satellite. Okay, help me out here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I had to go through the play route to get here. So we're kind of.
So this is all screwy right now. But Color Park.
Okay.
There's the library. That's South Street. This is Main.
Okay, so there's the library. So we walked right up. So there should be People's Place.
No.
No, I mean People's.
Oh yeah.
That's People's. We'll just call it People's. So we were sitting right. Like I can't get zoomed in anymore, but it looks like tables outside.
Yeah.
And parking, we would be right there. Like if like the table's obviously aren't there because of the weather, but that's where we were, right there.
Okay.
Looking direct. If I was to look directly across the street, I'd be looking into the windows of that cafe.
Okay.
And then right where those two buildings kind of met is where I was saying there was a police officer. There was a cop on the intersection, and then before the parade started, another one pulled up, and he was over here, right by that building. He kind of knew some people and whatnot. And then when that person got hit, I just remember like looking for an officer. The officer that I then saw, within a couple minutes, he came from down this way. It wasn't that officer. It was a different officer. I don't know what happened to him, if he went towards the vehicle or whatever he went to, but it wasn't him. It was a different officer that eventually came down to that victim.
Okay.
So that's where I was at, in front of whatever this little boutique is. And that's the Mary Jane's?
I think so.
And that's the boutique where we got kind of rushed into.
Do you know where Nice Ash is?
No.
Okay.
It won't zoom in anymore.
Arts and framing. Nostalgia. So that's Nice Ash.
Okay.
So you're at the end of the block.
Yeah, about 20 feet from the corner, maybe.
Yeah. You didn't see how this woman got hit, though, did you?
The one across from me?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was like right across. So what I did was, we're sitting at the parade, and I mean, so kind of the sadness is like we're thinking about being across the street.
Right.
And then my kid, my 10-year-old, is bundled in. He didn't want to get up for candy because we're kind of joking, like we have enough at home.
Right.
So they're throwing candy during the parade. We're not getting up for it because we're freezing.
Right.
So on our side of the street, the people didn't sit in the road like they did across the street.
Uh-huh.
They sat on the sidewalk.
Okay.
And the kids came out for candy and went back in. The other side of the street, the row of chairs was equal with where the parking ends.
But it was still in the road.
In the road.
Yeah.
But in the parking spots.
The stalls.
Yeah.
Right.
Is where they were sitting across the street.
Okay.
So now we're cold and starting to wonder if Santa's coming. And I look down to my right, which would be eastward.
Yeah.
From where the parade's coming from. And I see a truck pulling a float. And we're kind of like wondering, is that Santa, type of deal.
Right.
And we kind of heard this roar from the crowd. So like, oh, maybe it's Santa.
Right.
And kind of it all kind of happened at the same time, but that's when, so you had the roar of the crowd. Well, my wife and I described this popping of balloons because at the same time when we heard it, we saw what we both separately described as a blue balloon in the air.
Right.
So we kind of figured balloons were being hit, and then immediately after is when in my brain, I heard the rev of that car engine, and I saw the vehicle come around the left or the driver's side of that float truck. Right. Go across the street and into that crowd, hitting that woman. And so I didn't notice, this is where my wife noticed the damage of that vehicle coming in. I didn't notice that. I just, for whatever reason, was fixated on inside the vehicle, noticing that there were multiple people, but the driver's face.
Okay.
So for whatever reason, I mean...
How well do you remember the driver's face?
Pretty well. When I saw that picture popped up, like, there you go, because the driver's, like, the facial hair and the hair was all matching.
Okay.
What I saw when I saw pictures today.
You've seen this picture on social media?
I saw his picture once from the front on the news today, and it matched exactly what was in my head.
Okay.
And the thing about it was so emotionless. It wasn't worry. It wasn't like looking over, trying to make sure. It wasn't concern. It wasn't up in the seat like when you're freaking out. It was back in the seat, just running people over like it was a game almost, or just without the emotion. Which
totally chilled out about it.
Yeah, and it was freaky to see with no emotion, because at first, for a split second, what is this, an accident? And immediately you knew it wasn't, because there wasn't that emotion.
Okay.
I don't know how to say it. If somebody's gas pedal got stuck or brakes didn't work, you have this emotional face of fear. Like he had nothing. It was just lack of void of it. Just.
I'm cutting into you. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So here's the vehicle with the float.
Yeah.
Here's his vehicle. You're over here, right?
Yeah. And then he comes
On this
around-
way.
This way, and then you hear this balloon pop. Again, I don't know. I have no idea. There's a report that an officer fired his weapon.
Okay.
I have no idea where that happened. I don't know if that was here or somewhere else. It sounded to us when he was coming around here somewhere that there were balloons popping,
Okay.
and we saw a balloon right about the time, going in the air right about the time that he was passing. So then I heard like that rev of that engine really revving, and then I saw the car come across come from this side of the street across the street. You hear just the loud thud of hitting that lady who was down, and then the terror, and then just seeing his and at the same time just seeing that face. People were running. We didn't think any shots were fired because we just thought it was the balloons getting hit somehow.
Right.
So
You think the lady got hit up here in front of the
somewhere here.
Okay.
Again, here's the thing: is I don't recognize that lady. You sit at we got there initially at 2:00. Parade's at 4:00. We got there at 2:00.
Right.
We went to that cafe for a little bit. Came out. It was still early, so you start to kind of just see people because you're staring at across the street, which is why I noticed that police officer. He knew people, kids. I noticed the other families that I could pick out from a crowd.
Right.
Seeing her down, and granted, I didn't go up and take a very close look at her face, but seeing I didn't recognize her.
Yeah.
And she didn't immediately stand out to me as somebody that was right there across the street. And like I said, nobody was coming for her. So I don't know where she got hit. Honest, when he came across that street to those people, you started hearing it. And you heard one huge thud initially. He hit someone solidly. And then because I heard that thud before I saw his face.
Okay.
It was thud, and then that face I just locked onto.
Did you see his face as he's coming towards you, so it's straight on, or did you see a profile?
Profile from the side. I didn't see it. Coming straight on, it was just weird. I saw a vehicle. I saw that it was a red SUV. I couldn't tell you what kind. I would not have been able to pick that out. But a red SUV. And then as soon as he got to my angle, looking in the window, I'm it just kind of locked on until I lost sight of him. And then he was, down the street. And then, for me, the last thing, I looked back and you saw a person down, and then I looked back to find my kid. 'Cause my son, at that point, my son on my left was gone.
You're scared.
So I turned the other way, and he was behind me with my wife.
Okay.
So I went back to the street, noticed again, that lady was down, and no one initially by her. Then I saw I don't know, but in my mind, it was a dad looking for a kid.
Okay.
The way he was screaming for a name, running down the street eastward. And then some ladies, and then right away, the lady from the boutique was pushing people in. And then, as she's trying to bring people in, so we went into the shop. I initially popped out because really I'm what's going on someone's down, is anyone there? And then, so I pop out very quick. There's an officer there and a lady trying to get his attention. So he knew that victim was there. And at that point, I understood quickly at that point there is a hierarchy to how you respond. Actum, victim, actum, perpetrator. So I went back to my family. We'd probably stay in that. I don't know how long exactly in that boutique. 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Those 3 cops that I said, those 3 vehicles pulled up in that time frame before we left. We gathered our stuff. And we left, and we were parked at the library. So we, right there, is it Clinton, I think you told me it was?
Yeah.
Right by Peoples. We Clinton up to the library.
You got out of there.
And we took some long way out of town.
Okay. What's your wife's name?
Kristen?
With a K?
Yeah.
R-I-S-T?
T-E-N.
E-N.
Yeah.
And your son's name?
So my 10-year-old is Noah,
Noah?
and my 5-year-old is Nathaniel. A-E-L at the end. Not I-E-L, A-E-L.
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 Okay.
And then the only other person there with us was my mother-in-law,
And what's her first name?
Donna. And again, that's all too in the email as well.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't see that.
Yeah. Yeah, my name's Kristen.
Oh, yeah, you were very detailed. Wow.
Donna
Document,
Ashburn, yeah.
document.
Because it goes away, or, you know,
Yeah,
or you start seeing the news and you start seeing other things.
right.
So, you know, I just wanted to
Do you-
put down what I saw.
That picture you saw of the guy, did you see his name associated with it at all?
I heard his name. I can't tell you. I can't tell you his last name. First name is Darrell, Darrell. I mean,
Brooks?
yeah,
Okay.
sounds right.
That's one and the same.
Yeah,
I mean, normally I wouldn't give you the name, but
Yeah,
I mean, at
it's
this
everywhere.
point, it's everywhere.
it's everywhere.
I mean, I mean, I guess the thing though is, at this point, if you came in here and said, you know what, it's not that guy, it's somebody else,
Yeah.
that would be more important.
Yep.
But you're saying, you're confirming it's the guy.
So what happened is I didn't see his picture till sometime this afternoon, and it was on. So I think it was Fox 6 Milwaukee.
Okay,
And before I saw the headline of the article, before I saw just the front of the picture of it, the front look of his face,
yeah,
I'm like, oh, that's the guy. Like I already knew like the pictures out of him because he
Right.
looked just like what I saw. You know.
well, we're screwed as law enforcement because we can't hold that information back anymore.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I think they got that off the radio. Someone did a radio transmission with his name, and someone
Yeah.
put it together. I mean, whoever put it together is smart,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that was leaked last night sometime.
So I didn't hear much throughout the day. Like I said, once I saw the picture, I'm like, that's the guy. Because, like I said, I remembered his profile.
Okay.
And it was less, and I was not, my intent, you know, it's sad to say, my intent was not to get a witness description. It was just, I was just taken back by how stone cold his face was of not caring,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Did you see anyone else hit laying in the roadway or anything like that?
No, again, so I couldn't tell you who was injured across the street because as people left, and I got my family, I mean, that was the one person, like, left behind, so to speak,
Okay.
in the street.
That photo. Do you mind sending me the photo?
Oh.
Because I think I know the two ladies in the
Okay.
picture that you took.
Like I said, and I haven't, you know, like, I don't have any social media,
Okay.
so,
You're better off that way.
I hate social media.
Yeah.
So, people at work too all the time just get in trouble.
Right, because they post stuff?
They post stuff, they say stuff.
Yeah.
Take it easy, guys. Happy
Take
Thanksgiving.
it. Mail. Picture by. All my names in the email.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, the two women that are with her are her coworkers, and she was in the parade. I think the thudding you're hearing is her hitting the ground. I don't want to tell you too much, but
Right.
she was hit and then dragged a good distance as he drove over her.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's sad. To say she did not. My wife and I asked my wife, we did not recognize her from across the street.
Okay.
I mean, because I could tell you, like, you saw on the. Hold on. So what's the email again? Oh, start popping up.
C-K-O-E.
K-O. Oh, I messed it up. That's why K-O. There it is.
Yep.
So we just started going through it. I'm just like, I'm from my left in the corner. I was just like, there's two families together. I could picture the dad, and he's got like a blonde mullet under his hat, and they got these kids, and,
Yeah.
and like the kids are in snow pants. Like, that's smart. I got the next group of kids getting, you know, like I can start going down the street, of people we were looking at,
Right.
and she wasn't one of them. So, that's just, and I mean, if you look at where she is in the road and the direction he was coming, if he would have hit her right there, she wouldn't be there. She would be like in the building. She would have flown.
Yeah.
She was there, which is kind of like right before he got into that crowd right there, or as he's getting into that crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Tell me, when's the next time you're gonna go to a parade?
It's sad. Oh, it's
I mean, you can't. I mean, it's a free family type thing.
So it's just sad because most people like, I want to be back at the parade. My wife is like, I don't think we're ever going to parade. And today I'm thinking like, I'm a scout leader. I take kids in the parade in the summertime.
Yeah.
Does my son ever want to march in a parade again? I don't.
You look at this, and I've talked to a lot of people, and I talked to ladies' coworkers, and I talked to some people that provided her aid. And there's a lot of victims in this.
Oh God, yeah.
Not the ones that necessarily got hit, but the ones that witnessed what had happened. This is supposed to be a joyful, holiday season type event, and
yeah. My daughter didn't come. She went to San Diego on Saturday with an aunt.
Yeah.
And I mean, if she would have witnessed this, she would never.
How old is she?
She is 13.
13.
She never would have recovered.
Okay.
Because she's just her emotions are more fragile.
She's a little bit more open.
Yeah. She never would have recovered. My son today, I was like, we don't know about my son. It's kind of like, last night he was freaked out. Today I'm like, how you doing before school? He's like, fine, I'm all right.
Yeah.
Like, all right, and we're in the driveway before school, waiting for the bus, and I'm like, he's like, Dad, I don't know where. He's like, Dad, he goes, yesterday it was like playing Far Cry. I was running people over. I'm just like, oh God, like, because now he's like, he's taking it from here to the, he's associating it.
Right.
Like, man, my 5-year-old, he doesn't quite get it. He's like, the bad red car, like the music kept saying, the car was naughty, so we have to leave, and people got hurt. And
I can tell as a father this pisses you off and it makes you sad.
Yeah, it's sad for the kids.
Right.
I mean,
you're fine with this. You can process it. You're upset because your kids can't process it correctly.
And I see this. I mean, I'm telling you that dad just looking for his kids.
Yeah.
Or his daughter. I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't know for sure that he was looking for his daughter, but just the way he was going, it's not the way you go looking for your mom.
No.
It's like he had a kid missing, and like the Girl Scouts had just passed a little bit before the dancing grannies just passed. Like they were probably 40 feet down from us.
Yeah.
And we walked back to the library, and there's all the Girl Scouts. It's just like you said, what these people do, just driving through a parade route, and just.
Let me see something quick. I lost it a little earlier.
Yeah.
I was talking to a husband and wife that were sitting relatively close to where you were, in front of Nice Ash, and same thing. I heard their story, and I'm like, yeah, that's. You think that was her?
I mean, I never saw her face.
Yeah.
I would say like that's like the size and body type of the person who was down.
Yeah.
And it makes it close in the sense of like she was wearing. If my memory serves me right, she
Bring
was
up the
wearing
picture
red
of
shirt.
the two women.
Yeah, she had.
They supposedly were wearing matching clothes.
I can't tell you about her pants. Her shirt was reddish.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was
And
a solid red or pattern red. That was the body type of the lady down. That was the hair of the lady down.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I never had like a clear facial view of it.
Is there anything else
No.
we need to know or you want to add?
No, like I said, I just really wanted to, with our background, we know like statements are needed, so that's why we didn't want to bother a cop
Yeah.
last night.
Well, they probably would have talked to you a total of 30 seconds and then
Yeah.
moved on.
So we just decided to, I notified a captain from Waukesha right away,
Yeah.
who I know, like we were there, and I'm like, nobody left. He's like, you tell a cop your name. I'm like, nobody left. So I'm like, I'll just email,
Thank you.
and you never know what these, we deal with people at work all the time. Like, you never know, oh, I didn't do it in court, type of deal.
Right.
So knowing that witness testimony is awful and seeing his face that clear
Yeah.
and that facial expression, like, I really wanted to put that in.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a ton of detail. I have that face scarred in there,
Right. Right. Well, we're lucky enough now because people were recording the event on their cell phones,
Yeah.
and we got some pretty good photos of his face.
Oh, I believe you got some great stuff, and I was counting before the parade started, but there's cams in that intersection right there.
Yeah. Yeah, not
Yeah.
the best for getting facial
No.
stuff in, but yeah, there was a lot of cameras that recorded what had happened.
Yeah. So, but just that face being in there, I know for law enforcement it's horrible when too much gets to the media too quick.
Yeah.
But all I can tell you is when I saw that face come up without reading, I didn't read the article above it, the title or anything. I just saw the face. I'm like, that's the guy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, it was the look, it was the facial hair, it was the actual hair,
Right.
And in the vehicle, it's like no emotion, just back in the seat. Not even all these back in the seat, just how do I get my car back to the left a little bit, and miss that pole. I mean, it was horrible.
Yeah.
And there had to be, I mean, I'm surprised it wasn't worse because straight across, again, like you said, I don't know what happened anywhere else. I saw that body, and when we left, like, I did not want to have a bunch of pictures and video. I just wanted the record of where I was at. I mean, there was easily 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 kids right across the street from us, small kids, And the only reason we weren't sitting there is because my son was like, no, I'm not getting up. Because no one was sitting there at first, and we're just like, hey, I was like, hey, should we go across the street and sit in the road, for candy? He's like, and they're all bundled up, like, we're not getting up. So, I mean, it was something that simple that could have been us.
Over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so. No, I just wanted to give us. Never knowing what you guys have, I just wanted to give you what we had.
No, I appreciate it.
And
Thank
the only
you.
little talking to my wife, she didn't see his face. She just noticed the damage on the car.
Mm-hmm.
But we have the same recollection of the balloons, thinking it's Santa Claus coming down.
Everyone's got a little piece of this story, and it's amazing, though. I won't keep you long. It's interesting what people do remember and what they don't remember, and how our memories do different things.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, an old job of mine, now I'm a probation pro, an old job of mine with the halfway house. So I went through the police academy. I went to being a halfway house director, always in court for guys, and I just became really drilled into, here's your detail, here's what you know, here's what you don't know, here's what you saw, here's what you didn't see.
Right.
And I wanted that down before, because you're going to see media, you're going to start, did I see that? Did that happen?
Yeah.
I really wanted down what happened right there for that little 20 feet of road.
And then you start adding things because the media starts adding things.
Yeah. I mean, that's how that goes. People are like, well, didn't you hear this? Didn't you do that? All I know is, like, my wife and I just talked about it briefly, and then I was like, I thought I heard balloons. She's like, yeah, because you saw the blue, like, yeah, the blue balloon. She's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we thought there's, so, like, I still don't know, like I said, where the officer discharged a service weapon at. All I know is that we thought there were balloons being popped. We thought it was Santa Claus, and then immediately you saw, or you heard that car engine rev and the car come across, which he wasn't slowing down. He was revving that engine.
He was getting faster.
He was getting faster coming across. So, you know.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
No problem.
Want to take anything with you?
Nope. I haven't eaten much since.
I think I've eaten too much of the wrong stuff.
Yeah,
So what office do you work out of?
So I'm out of downtown, and then
Downtown.
Milwaukee,
Okay.
so Region 3, and then I have a West Dallas caseload, so I work out of West Dallas PD a few days a week.
All right, Anthony. Well, thanks for coming in. I'm Detective Carpenter. I'll give you you can call me Jay.
Okay.
Give you my card here.
Thank you.
Real quick, just can I get to start this out? Your full. So obviously your first legal first name is Anthony.
Yep. Anthony James. Last name's Lloyd. Lloyd.
Date of birth for you, Anthony?
11080.
And address for you?
404 Maple Way South, Waukesha 53188.
Okay. And this is just reference, Sunday. Were you at the Christmas parade that day, Anthony?
Yes, my family was.
And who was there with you and your family?
My wife, Elizabeth Lloyd, my mother-in-law, Kathy Kunkel, and then our 3 daughters, Olivia, Everly, and Avery.
How old are they?
They'll be 6, 8, and 10, but they're 5, 8, and 9 right now. So.
Okay. Gotcha. And I know some of this, so I apologize. Some of it's repeat because I talked to you a little on the phone.
Yeah.
But can you just reiterate to me, where were you along the route? Where were you and your family standing?
We were towards the end of the trade route on the north side of the road, right by the Monument Center, on the westernmost side of the Monument Center.
Is that along Main Street?
Yes.
Main Strip? Okay. And as far as the crowd, Anthony, what was the crowd like? I mean, was it pretty crowded? Was there a lot of gap between people? Not that you can barely move, but were you kind of pretty tight, shoulder to shoulder, gapped out, rows of people like 1, 2, or 3, or just one row of people along the street?
There was, it wasn't extremely packed and crowded, but it wasn't sparse crowding, if that kind of makes sense. I mean, I would say it was a good crowd. There was enough room for people to walk behind us on the sidewalk, so the sidewalk wasn't completely closed. There's always a couple families that have their kids on the road, kind of in that little where the cars can park on the side of the road. There was a couple of families there, and we were kind of standing between right on the sidewalk, and some of our kids were in the road, kind of where that parking is. So
okay, gotcha. And then, what, in your own words, Anthony, what was it that alerted you something was wrong?
The first thing, and it wasn't something that struck as something was wrong, but I thought there was a large gap in between the parade marchers. Usually there's a 30-second to a minute gap, depending on the size, if someone slows up and that kind of stuff. So it was a little bit extended. We've been to the parade before, so I know there's always Santa Claus at the end. But during that gap, we're just spending time with the kids, but it was kind of odd that it was longer. And then the next thing I heard was the sound of vehicles striking. It wasn't striking buildings, it wasn't striking another car. I could tell it was something different. It just had a different sound to it, similar to a vehicle striking a deer.
Okay.
And when I looked to my left down the parade route, I could see a medium mid-sized SUV that was red in color, and it was striking pedestrians that were on the south side of the road. One individual I saw was hit by the car. It was thrown forward maybe 10, 15 feet. At that time, the car just continued to drive over the individual, and then it continued heading, west?
Mm-hmm.
West on the parade route, but it was weaving between the middle of the road off to the side of the road. It didn't appear like it was trying to miss anybody.
So like,
It was
was it going center left or center right?
It was going from the center to the left, so the
Okay.
south side of the road.
Okay. This person you said went flying about 10, 15 feet. You said they were then drove over. Did they like?
Yeah, so the body was thrown up and pushed forward, and then at that time the car drove over the body.
After it had come back down to the ground?
Right.
Okay.
So it struck the individual, pushed it forward, and ended up driving over it. The individual.
Did you notice at any point this car, so it's coming through, it's striking people. Did you get any, it's a red SUV, could you see the driver at all?
No.
Could you see anyone in the car waving their hands like left to right as if they were motioning for people to get out of the way or anything like that?
No.
Did you hear any audible signal from the vehicle like beeping of the horn to alert people was coming?
That I did not know.
No? Okay.
The only sound was the impact of the collision and the people screaming, the crowd screaming.
Did the vehicle accelerate at any point and gain speed? What?
From what I heard, I could hear an increase in the RPMs of the car when I first initially saw it. So I'm a car guy, so I could tell that it did increase speed as it was trying to leave the area.
Okay. How fast do you think it was going at its fastest point, if you had an estimation?
Yeah, being in a stationary position, I'd say between 30 and 40 miles an hour.
Okay.
I mean, it was a lot faster, and I think that's a 20 mile an hour area. It definitely was a lot faster than a car that would just normally drive by there.
Okay. You said it was weaving as it was going down the street. What did it look like? What do you think? Did this look like a car that was out of control? Or did you decipher it different? Did it look like it was intentional? You say it was weaving. Was it weaving towards people from what you could see, like in their direction? Or describe the weaving in your own
Yeah, my
words.
assumption was that it had swerved into people directly on the south side of the road. It had swerved into the crowd. Looking back on it, there was nobody in the center of the road that they were trying to swerve away from. So at that time, I was under the impression that it was purposely swerving into the crowd. Your initial thought is you don't want that to be the case, but when you're sitting there and you look at it and there's nobody in the center of the road, why would it be swerving that far south and striking people? And it didn't make an attempt to pick a clear lane, because the clear lane would have been driving down the center, whereas the car was driving towards the side of the road. So swerving from center again to left.
Okay. And this was after it's passed you?
Yeah.
So there's no one in the road, and then it's swerving left towards where
Right.
spectators are gathered?
It kept swerving to the driver's side, the left side of the road, where there were spectators again versus being center.
Okay.
I mean, there wasn't a lot of reaction time to actually step away once
Yep.
you realized what was going on. But most people, when they heard the screams and would make a reaction, they would move backwards, and there was enough space for the crowd, the parade participants, to get through. So if it would have been a solo car trying to avoid people, it could have clearly gone through.
Okay.
That's my assumption from what I had seen.
Okay. Did you, after the person that was run over right in front of you, did you approach that person at any point while they were down?
I did. My mother-in-law had taken her kids behind the Monument Center into Crush. They know the owners, they go there quite often, so they felt comfortable in there. My wife was standing on the sidewalk. I wanted to go help the individual that was laying, I believe they were laying face down. Thing I remember was the shoes were knocked off. So I could tell that they were laying face down. I didn't actually check vitals. There was a person that was there moments before I was. They checked the vitals and they said there are no vitals anymore. I believe there was a nurse that either was there or come up afterwards, and she was telling an officer that walked by that I was trying to flag over that she was a nurse. I don't know if she was the one that checked vitals, but someone did, and at that time I realized that there was nothing I could do. I'm not a trained professional. I just know CPR, but I realized my family needed me more, so I ended up leaving.
Okay. And at any point, Anthony, Did you see anyone else specifically? I know you said you heard thumping.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anyone else other than this? You're not sure if it was it a male or a female, or you're not even
I don't
sure?
know. I don't know.
Other than that person, is there anyone else you saw specifically get hit?
There were several people that got hit. That was the one that really sticks out because I saw the body move forward and then get run over. As I watched the car later on, I saw it again sweep into the crowd. So there was another one there's a bar on the other side, maybe like 25 feet down from the Monument Center. Is it Main Street Bar or something like that?
I'm not sure, but this is after it's passed you, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
So it's heading further west. There was another body, another individual that was hit there. They were lying in the road. The reason I didn't go up to them is they were already being attended to by other.
The one you initially went up to where someone told you there was no vitals, did you ever see that person move?
No. They didn't
Any
move.
indications of life?
No, and I had stood there for a couple minutes waiting just to make an assessment to see if another car was going to come down, to see if it was two cars racing or, whatever. Like, I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't an immediate threat again before I crossed the road, and I watched that individual lay there lifeless, and, I just didn't see how being struck and then driven over there would be much life left. And so I went up there, and after they said that, I just assumed all in all that person had deceased already.
Okay. And did you see, if you can remember, if you scanned anything at all? I know Liz probably became your primary point of attention and the rest of your family after that. Did you notice, I know a lot of people are running, a lot of people are screaming, any other bodies or people, whether dead or alive, that were down, injured?
There was,
other than the two you've told me
right,
about.
the two, and then another 20 feet beyond that, there was somebody else that was being attended to. I believe there was the lady or individual directly in front of me, the one that was maybe 20 yards away, just south of the bar, and then there was another individual that I can recall that was being tended to a little bit further west. So there was 4 total that I had seen. I didn't really look any further east up the parade route.
Okay. Just kind of to the west.
Yeah.
South into the west.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Were you afraid for the safety of yourself and your family, Anthony? In any way?
I mean, yeah. My initial thought from walking away and the hard thing that I struggle with now is I just wish I could have done more.
Right.
I don't know, right or wrong. Like
Yeah.
it's, like my family needed me, but I felt like if I wanted to do something to help people. I'm in a restaurant business, and like just walking away, I felt, I don't know, like that was a hard thing to do, but I knew my family needed me, so.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming in. I know this is not easy to do. You're one of many. Appreciate the help all of you are giving to this. Take time with it. Watch yourself, watch the kids, watch Liz.
Yeah.
Just normalize the best you can. If you're not eating or sleeping, make sure you're talking to someone.
Yeah. I've had all my bosses have been calling me, vice president of the company's reached out to me, and so just to make sure I'm doing all right.
If anything pops in, you got my card there, Anthony.
Okay.
Anything pops in your head. Now, there's voicemail at that line. So,
Sure, yep.
I mean, if you wake up at 2 a.m. and you just think, I got to know something, you can call it. I won't be there, but you'll be able to leave a message and I'll get it.
Sure.
So whatever you need to do, just give that line a call. Last question for you. Is there anything I didn't ask or off the top of your head right now from that incident you can think of that you either want to tell me or think I need to know? And if there's nothing, that's okay.
Yeah, no, I can't think of anything. I mean, besides the point, I'm sure you heard, I mean, it was an awful thing.
Yes.
Awful thing right for Christmas. I mean, Waukesha, when I first moved up here, I wasn't a big fan of it. I was downtown, and now I'm like, I like how it's a little small, big community, and that, and it's just to see this happen, it's awful, because we go to Friday night, live downtown quite a bit, and just, it's gonna take time, but no, I agree. there's nothing else that I can think of that I witnessed firsthand that I could add to it.
Okay. All right, Anthony. Well, I'll end the recording here. I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah.
All right, this is Detective Carpenter with Elizabeth Lloyd, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lloyd.
Yes.
Can you just verify, or can you just, for identifications, Elizabeth, it's Elizabeth, what's your middle initial?
A.
And Elizabeth.
Correct.
Your date of birth, Elizabeth?
9/24/84.
Gotcha. And address for you?
404
Uh-huh.
Maple Way South.
Perfect, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and, okay. So I guess you were at the Christmas parade this past Sunday, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and who were you all with? Were you alone? Were you with family members?
I was with my mom and my husband and our 3 daughters.
How old are your daughters?
5, 8, and 9.
Okay. And where were you along the route specifically? Can you recall?
We were sitting at the on Main Street at the end of the building that Crush is located in, so just beyond
Okay.
that gallery that's right next to it.
Crush Wine Bar, is that it?
Yeah, in that driveway or the entrance.
Okay. Yeah, that gate, I'm familiar with that gate
Yeah.
you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
Or that you told me about over the phone.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Can you describe the crowd where you were standing? Was it crowded? Was it rather thin, shoulder to shoulder, kind of spread out, as far as not necessarily who was in the middle of the route, but as far as the spectators?
We were, I would say, comfortably seated. I mean, there were a lot of people, but it wasn't,
Okay.
we weren't like feeling crowded by any means. I would say shoulder to shoulder, and
Okay.
maybe a couple, 2 rows of people maybe. Generally, it's like the kids and then the parents behind them.
Okay. So people are kind of right up against each other, not standing on each other, but
Yeah,
right
right.
against each other and stacked in at least
Sure.
2 rows.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And at this point, I'm going to ask you a question here momentarily, and when I do, I'm just going to let you kind of tell what you recall
Okay.
in your own words. I might have questions here and there just to clarify,
Mhm.
but that question would be, what alerted you initially and drew your attention towards the route that something was wrong?
So when it happened, we were in the middle of like a lull of the parade, I would say, or a
Okay.
gap. And so we were just anticipating what was coming next, and I heard a lot of thunking
Okay.
and then screaming. So naturally I assumed that there was something exciting coming up, and I stepped out into the road to kind of look down. And as I did that, I saw the SUV speeding past us, and then all down the road you could see just people lying all over the road.
What
And-
color was that SUV?
Red.
Red?
Hmm.
Okay. And when you say you heard thunking, do you know what that thunking was?
It was him hitting people.
Okay.
Yeah. And
And-
you
go
could clearly hear acceleration. It wasn't like him just casually driving through. You could hear the engine accelerating.
Like rapid? Like he was...
Yeah, and I don't know if it was because it was near the end of the parade route that he just was like, this is my out, or what, but there was clear acceleration.
How fast do you estimate the SUV went when you saw it go by you?
I mean, I would say at least 30, if not 40.
Okay. Could you see anyone specifically inside of the car?
No, I was, I
Okay.
mean,
beyond the speed, I was also very distracted.
Okay. Were you worried for the safety of you and your kids and your family?
Yes.
Okay. And now when you describe the screaming and the thunking, like I can picture in myself a little bit based on my familiarity with, the downtown, but others might not be as familiar. So as you're facing the parade route and your back is towards the buildings, when you hear the thunking and the screaming, when you look to see where it's coming from, is that initially to your left or to your right?
I'm looking to my left.
When you hear it, it's coming from that direction?
Yeah, as I'm looking out into the street, I'm
Okay.
looking left.
And I know you said, you could hear the acceleration. The vehicle was driving fast, 30 to 40 miles an hour. Can you describe the vehicle's path, I guess, within the roadway? Does that question make sense? Like straight, was it?
Oh, no, he was swerving for sure. I don't know.
Like left to right?
I mean, he was going that fast, so obviously I didn't see his path much before.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But it seemed as though when I did see him, it was kind of like that. Just, again, we were at the end, so I don't know how he was.
Like a weave, maybe? Is that a good way to describe
Sure.
it, do you think? Okay. And did you see, and take your time with this question, Elizabeth, did you see anyone actually get hit by the vehicle?
Mm-hmm.
Can you describe that to the best you can?
Yep. So I don't know if he hit this woman from behind or from the side, but when he hit her, she was tossed, I would say 10 to 15 feet into the road, and she landed directly in front of us. I would say probably 10 feet, 15 feet in front of us, on the other side of the road.
Okay.
And she landed, and then he continued to just drive over her.
Okay. And from what you observed, did the driver, whoever it was, make any attempt to avoid this woman or anyone else?
No.
Any attempt upon the impact of this woman to slow down or anything?
No.
And did you notice the driver inside of the vehicle, waving his or her arms at all as if telling people to get out of the way, honking the horn, either of those things?
No honking. The only thing that I heard from the vehicle was acceleration. I did not hear, there was no yelling coming from it, we were on the opposite side, so if he was having anything out of his window, I did not see it.
Okay. I know there was a lot of chaos down there as this all went on, and I know you saw the one woman get struck. Did you see anyone? Did anyone render her aid that you saw?
My husband immediately ran across the street to go and help, and I know that there were a couple of other people that went to help as well.
Okay, so you went to help that woman.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see anyone, this is kind of a twofold question. So the first part is, did you see anyone else get actually hit? You heard thunking, but actually...
Yeah, that was the only one that I witnessed.
Okay. Once the vehicles passed and continued down the street, as you looked left and right, to what you recall, I know you only saw one woman get hit, but did you see any other people that were down, that appeared hurt, that were down on the ground after the vehicles gone by?
To my left, looking out into the street to my left, there were quite a few.
Okay.
I honestly don't recall looking to the right.
Okay.
So I don't know if there was more beyond us.
And your husband, obviously, he approached the woman.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to help her.
Mm-hmm.
Did you really get a good look at her all? I mean, was she did she look unconscious, alive, dead? Could you even tell?
I was standing there waiting for her to move so that I could like feel something.
Mm-hmm.
Other than, I don't know. And there was no movement at
No
all.
movement.
And my husband probably stood there for 2 minutes.
Okay.
And when he came back to me, he said that she was gone.
Okay.
I think he had mentioned that another man that was there helping her, by the time my husband got there, which was immediately after, he had already gone down to take a pulse, and there was no pulse.
Okay. Okay. Other than the vehicle being a red SUV, that's all you were really able to see, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there anything else you can think of right now, Liz, that is on your mind specific to what you saw that I should know? I mean, it was pretty chaotic. Were there a lot of people running about, screaming, afraid, trying to help others right after?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And after the vehicle flew by, did you ever see it again? Like it came back and tried to acknowledge there was an accident and tried to help anyone?
No.
Okay. And after it went by and went to your right, did you get much of a look after that, at it at that point after that, or did you say no?
No, I was
No.
very much trying to make sure that my children were okay.
You know, this question, I know you saw it didn't drive straight, it kind of weaved, did it? Do you have a perception on what the driver might have been doing at that point? Do you think it was out of control or something different?
That was my immediate thought, was that maybe somebody from the parade had something medically wrong with them and they had like landed their foot.
Sure.
But then when I had looked out onto the street and saw that there were all of those people down and everybody was panicking, then I knew that it was more than just, you know, somebody from the parade. Then I knew it was an outside vehicle.
Okay.
It seemed as though he just didn't care, that he
Okay.
was just flying down the road, not worrying about anything in his path. There was no slowing down.
Okay.
I mean, it just seemed as though he just was
Did it seem
recklessly-
intentional?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
You said recklessly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I appreciate your time. Liz, that's all. This is very traumatic, and I appreciate you coming in. Is there anything you can think of? I can't think of anything else I have to add. I think you've covered it pretty clear on what your observations were and, you know, some of your perceptions of those observations, reasonable perceptions in my mind based on what you're telling me you saw. Is there anything else you can think of right now?
No, I think
That about covers
that's what I've got up here.
it? Okay. All right. Well, I thank you very much for coming in. You
Mhm.
have my card, right?
Yeah. Yep.
If a question or concern comes up, whatever it might be, you just think I need to know something, just don't hesitate to use the number on the card. Okay, it's my desk. If I don't pick up, there is voicemail.
Okay.
It's kind of a weird week. I don't know. I should be here tomorrow. I don't know how much after that, but
Okay.
you can call that number any time of day. The voicemail will always pick up.
Okay.
Okay?
Awesome.
Right.
Thank you.
And I know when we talked on the phone, you said you wasn't sure your husband was ready. Please let him know about the card. And if he changes his thought, have him give me a call
I did
as well.
speak with him on my way
Okay.
here, and he said he's probably more willing to talk to you about it than to me.
Okay.
What's
his name?
His name's Anthony. So yeah, he said if it was something that would be helpful, he is more than willing to come in and do that.
Okay. Does he have a cell phone? Would it be best for me to call him, or should I just have him call me?
You can call him. He actually just got home from work, so.
Okay. Can I grab his cell?
Yep,
Even though as long as you're
262.
here. Okay.
893
Mm-hmm.
3275.
Okay. Yeah, just let him know. I'm here, and then I can always reach out to him too, and we can discuss what went on, and sometimes talking about it can help give closure too.
Yeah.
And hopefully move on. And the important thing is going forward. Are your kids okay?
They seem to be okay.
Okay.
I think time will tell.
Yeah.
I know.
For sure.
My youngest was going to school yesterday and talked to the school psychologist.
Sure.
She's 5, so I don't know that much. I think she
Okay.
just wanted to talk to somebody that wasn't me.
Sure. Yeah.
My oldest is the one I'm more concerned about, but she won't talk. She'll talk about what happened and ask questions, but
Yeah. I'm not looking to bring the kids
No,
in. Just
no,
just
no.
talk with them and
Yep.
make sure they're okay and
Yeah, no, I would never.
tough.
But
So
yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I think
Okay.
it's just going to be like a time thing.
sure. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Liz. Have a good holiday weekend,
Yeah,
and if you have
you
any
too.
questions, call.
Okay.
And I'll catch up with Anthony and we'll
Okay,
chat.
sounds
All right.
good.
Thank you.
It's gonna be rather informal, okay? You both were at the parade?
Yes,
Okay. Were you in the parade or spectating?
spectating.
Spectating, okay. Where were you?
We were on the south end, right in front of Nice Ash Bar. I have a picture of where we were standing. I took video of the band.
Nice
We were right
Ash.
in front of Nice Ash, across from the Clark Hotel,
Okay.
on the south side of the street.
Do you have video of the incident?
I don't have video of the
No.
incident. I have video of just the band playing. That was the only video I shot of the day.
Okay. Is there a reason it's of the North Marching Band?
Both of my kids marched North Marching Band. We have marched in that parade. My wife and I both have marched in the Christmas parade with North. We were band parents for 5 years, and and we love the parade, so that's why we're still connected with a lot of the parents and stuff from North.
Okay. So, based on what you're telling me and your location, you're in a pretty bad spot.
We were in a
We
really
had
bad.
somebody get hit right in front of
Yeah,
us,
she-
inches from
she-
us, from me.
Yeah, and she hit right in front of us. We saw it was cold. One of the highlights of that parade is the balloon, right? The hot air, it blows up.
Yeah.
We saw it. I was looking down the way, looking at it. I was like, oh, okay, I see it. And at that point is when I saw the car coming at me. At that point, and he was moving. He was moving.
Okay.
He was coming quick. I told Vera, I said, after it was all done, when we got home, I said, it was a Ford. I thought it was an Explorer, but it was an Escape. Same thing, just smaller. His right above his light was all dented in. You could tell he had smacked something at that point, but he came right from us to where you're at. I mean, you blew past. Vera felt the wind and when he got right past us, he smacked into the lady. She went up, landed back on the hood, fell down, and he
Ran
over her.
So he hit her twice,
Yeah.
literally.
Okay.
We went and I ran. The friend of mine that was with us, Dan Wagner, we ran to her. Everybody just went at that point.
Okay.
We ran to her, and she was on her side at that point. Her name was Jane. The lady was there. She kept saying, her name is Jane. Her name is Jane. She was from Citizens Bank. Oh,
Back up 1 second.
Yes, sir.
And I don't want to forget this. And maybe I'm wrong because your track of thought's great. When you said he was speeding and accelerating, what kind of observations did you have that made him believe that he was coming at you guys rather fast?
He was I can't describe it. He was coming at a very rapid pace, and
Okay.
we were extremely close. We were in that parking jut out right there. It was in between the two trees. You know how they have the trees, and then it comes in, and then there's parking spaces there.
Yeah.
We were right almost at the edge. I was standing there. Dan was standing next to me, and then his niece, and then Vera was right there. We had maybe this far of a cushion from the edge, from the road, from where the parade route, and I mean, we were probably 18, 24 inches from the car passing by.
I didn't even see it because I was sitting and Dale was standing behind me.
Okay.
And I didn't even realize it was coming because I was looking the other way because I was looking at the people and just whatever. So I was looking to my left when the car came from my right. Yeah. And I look and he smacked her right in front of me. I mean, and it was like a hard... And I saw her body go up. She landed on the car, slipped down, and he ran over her. In front of, by the time he got there, he crossed over and was in front of the coffee shop, the Steaming Cup.
Well, it was before that. It was just it was a little bit before People's Park, right before People's Park on that side, because she was on the south side of the street.
Okay.
She was in between. There used to be an art gallery or something right there, but she landed right there, and she was on her side. And
we ran over.
We ran over to her, and we're like, "Don't move her! Don't move her! Don't move her!" And then that lady came over that was either working with her or marching with her. They were from Citizens Bank.
Yeah.
They said, "Her name is Jane. Her name is Jane." And so Dan had her head, I had her back like this. We were keeping her from moving, and then we were checking her feet for a pulse.
She was.
And then a paramedic, or he was a paramedic or an EMT, I don't remember what he was. He came over and he goes, I'm off duty. He was in plain clothes. And he says, she's not breathing, we need to do CPR. So we gently rolled her over.
Yeah.
He opened up her airway, and I was doing compressions, and we rotated out 3 times. We did compressions and CPR for
and we couldn't give her mouth to mouth or anything. She had so much blood coming out of her nose and her mouth that we didn't even attempt to try to do. And then by the time the paramedics came and they said, give me the mouthpiece that we need to do mouth to mouth, she hasn't had any mouth to mouth because they were doing the compressions.
The paramedic was there, the off-duty guy. I don't know his name. I don't know who else was there. He kept saying, don't worry about breath. He said, don't worry about that. Keep compressing. So we just kept that going. And that kind of led me to believe her eyes were open. She wasn't.
Well, I could see she had a little tire mark across her belly because her shirt was raised.
Okay.
And you could see the black tire mark across her belly.
She had a tire mark.
Because she was a little bit of a bigger girl.
And we got home and we were texting our pastor and over there, and he texted us back later. He said,
she was somebody from our church.
Somebody from our church, and I had I work at the door at church, and I just greeted them that morning. It was one of the ladies. Her name was Jane Cullich.
Yeah.
But they came to even put the pads on her, and when the electric shock machine, the AED or whatever,
and they put it on there, and they put the
said,
blood patch, and
there's
then
no bother.
He said no need.
No need.
They said
right,
there's no need. At that point, she had passed. He was moved. I looked and I saw the flame for the balloon, and then it right below it. He was really close, and he was just moving. I'm like, what? And like right past us, I saw him. We moved back, and then like right at that wall is where she struck her, and then moved back. It was so quick.
Do you think with the first initial impact that she traveled some distance?
She did a little bit. Well, what happened? She flipped up, landed on the hood as he was moving, and then she slid down.
And carried her, and then she slid off the hood, and he went over her.
It was
Okay.
one of that's the thing that messes us up a little bit the most was it sounded like, I described it to my past, it sounded like if you took two fists and beat as hard as you could on the hood. That's the kind of impact, that's what it sounded like.
Okay.
He hit her, she went up, she came down as they were moving, and then just kind of run over. And that was probably 20 yards, 25 yards from the time she hit her to the time where she landed and where we wound up running to her. If that makes sense.
No, it makes plenty of sense. Makes
And
plenty
then
of sense.
he was giving compressions, and while he was giving compressions, I wanted to see how far ahead it went, because I thought it was a car that went rogue in the actual parade, like somebody had a stroke or something and hit the gas, and it was like a confined type thing. We had no idea that this was like an entire, and I'm like, where's the car? What happened to the car? Did they stop the person? Whatever. And then that's where I went over and saw all the grannies, the dancing grannies in their blue and white outfits that light up.
Yeah.
And we saw the man, and then the one lady was obviously deceased. There was beyond the amount of blood I've ever seen in my entire life.
Are you talking about Jane, or are you talking about one of the grannies?
One of the grannies.
Okay.
I saw
with Jane.
he was with Jane, and I went further ahead to see where's the car, what's happening with that, kind of like trying to get a grasp of what was happening, because it's utter mass chaos at this point in time.
Right.
And I saw the gentleman that got hit, the husband, Bill. We helped him a little bit.
We wound up helping him later on. I did.
And then I saw the one lady that was obviously deceased. Some people spent time with her, but they just covered her up with blankets. And then one of the other grannies was obviously dead. They tried to do CPR, and then they covered her up in a gurney, in one of those metal blankets. And then so we went back, and then by that time all the ambulance were coming, and Jane was gone. They took her like physically.
She had passed. They put her on a gurney. I do remember that. And then I started walking catty corner over towards People's Park, and I have blood on my hands and stuff.
Yeah.
And we know the lady at People's Park. So she had closed up, but the door was open, and I said, "Hey, can I wash out?"
Right.
So I washed my hands and went in there, and then I walked across the street in front of the art gallery where Vera and Larissa and our friends were, and then they started bringing
triaging people.
Then they started bringing the band kids, the South kids over. So there was 3 South kids laying over, and I noticed one lady was having a hard time. It was his mom, and his name was Taylor, and he was laying in the street. I don't know the name. Main Street and People's Park, or Steaming Cup is here. People's Park is here. He was laying on that street there, that way. She was having a hard time with him, and he kept saying, "I'm going to get sick. I'm going to get sick." And I have a thing for band kids. I mean, my kids marched. So I said, "Dude, what's going on? What's your name?" And we tried to talk to him. "What year are you? What do you play?" and stuff. He goes, "I'm going to get sick. I'm going to get sick." So I was like, you can't turn your head, dude. I can't move you. I can't move you. He was on a board.
Okay.
He was on a board, and they were starting to, in between time, they're triaging, they're banding. The paramedic came over and said he can't throw up in his mouth. She goes, "Turn him." She goes, "Just hold his head." So we're holding his head, and we rolled him again, and he's throwing up. And I stayed with him for probably a good 20 minutes or so, and then there's 2 other band kids there. You get up, you throw blankets on them, and go from there.
And then Bill.
And then they took him away. They took Taylor away. They said he was one of the. They said we need the worst yellow one.
Yeah.
He was yellow, and then they took him away. So I kind of figured he was kind of rough.
Okay.
Then one of the.
You're talking about the band kid.
One of the band kids, yes. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Then one of the dancing nannies came over. She's holding this guy's shoe, and she's walking as the paramedics are carrying her husband on a backboard.
Yeah.
And they set him down, and she goes, "His name is Bill. He's Bill. This is Bill." And she's just got a shoe in.
She was in shock.
Yeah. So somebody had moving blankets. I don't know where they came from. There was moving blankets. So we just started putting them moving blankets on her, and he's flailing around and moving. We're like, "Bill, you gotta hold still. You gotta hold still." And some other young girl came over, and she says, "You gotta hold still." And I said, help me. And we're kind of pinning him with the blanket a little bit to keep him from moving his arms around there. And then the paramedics came over and they were looking. And there was 2 other band kids, and then they brought another Hispanic guy over there. But that's in the Freeman. That's on the picture.
His picture's in the Freeman. That's him doing this triaging the kids.
I don't know what else. He was coming at a good clip, and I thought at first it looked like he was gonna. I don't know. I wasn't sure if he ran over the little island piece or not. I couldn't tell. I couldn't remember that.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, because that juts out, and we were in the piece. I don't know if he ran over that, but there was a float or something. It seemed like it was green or blue that was right in front of us that he had to come. I remember him moving over and around it, and he got to the side of it and then kind of moved back over towards the middle of the street, and that's when he smacked into the lady. So he kind of went around whatever was in front of us, but I can't tell you if he ran over part of the island or not, because we were really close to those island pieces where the trees were. If he would have hit the trees, that would have been it would have stopped, to be honest with you. If he would have hit the trees, maybe. Or we would have been in a world of hurt, but it would have kept people from going. It would have kept them possibly from going farther down.
Our next door neighbor said that they were at the very beginning. They said that he spared their life because the kids were playing in the street, and he honked his horn and told them to get out of the way.
You need to talk to Jason next door. He was the one that heard. He kept telling that he honked the horn at the very beginning down by the old Ace Hardware.
And told them and shooed them, said, get out of the way.
He said, get out of the way. You need to talk to Jason, my neighbor.
I will.
He said he spared his kid's life.
He should be. We talked to him a little while ago. I can go over and get him. But he's the one that, they were down on the very end, right by
the apartments.
The apartments.
Where
and
the
by
parade
Ace,
starts.
Yes, by Ace Hardware in the Mexican Palomar. Or the
Palomar.
Mexican, yeah.
So we didn't understand that from what we saw, so we had no idea it even went that far, because as people were communicating and talking and people are filming and taking pictures, and then the police came and said, if you need to make a statement, everybody gather here, I'll get your name and number, blah blah blah, and people started talking and going, where were you standing? And the lady says, well, I was all the way down by Planned Parenthood. And she's like, over by the corner. And she's like, he went around the corner. And I was like, oh my God, because
our neighbor was down that way, down on that. It hit him, Andrew, and that they left for the afternoon, but his daughter saw somebody get hit. But they were down towards that end past Magellan's and down by, I don't know exactly where, but they were past Magellan's down before the curve that way. So he was down to one end, we were in the middle.
So Jason over here is at the start.
Jason was at the
you
start.
guys were kind of in the midpoint.
Yeah.
And then you have another neighbor that was
at the end. Andrew and Tara was. I don't know if Tara was there, but I know Cammie saw. They saw the blood and stuff over there. They're kind of.
I'm gonna be honest. It's kind of hard hearing what you guys are saying. It's very hard. I'm trying my best to keep it together.
It was very It's very because he literally hit her. And right in front of me, his car came at I'm talking inches, not even a half a foot to a foot from me.
Yeah.
And I saw her fly in the air, land on the car, and he drove with her on the car for just a very super short distance, and she slid off and he bumped right over her. So he literally hit her twice.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if she was. I don't know if she was alive when we got there or not.
I think she was taking her last breath when we got there, maybe.
I don't know, but I know the guy was off duty. I don't remember if he said EMT or paramedic. I think he said paramedic. Okay. I couldn't tell you where he was. But he's the one who said we had to do CPR, and then that's the point where we rolled over.
I think you hit on it, Vera. This wasn't one of these incidents where someone has a stroke, someone has some sort of medical condition or something, they hit the gas, something tragic happens, And it's one of those incidents where it's hard to find fault
And
in that individual. There just seems to be so much trauma and chaos being done that
it seemed like there was thought behind it, because if you see some of the videos, the way he drove around certain things and toward certain things, there had to be thought. It wasn't just random. It wasn't just, and why would he spare in the beginning the children and tell them to get out of the way, and then at the end just say, well, I'm done. Screw it. And just literally closed his eyes and just said, went for it, or what? I don't know. But he missed all the cars and stuff that are in there and were hitting people.
Right.
So he's actively avoiding big barriers.
I think
you guys didn't see. I'm sorry for cutting
no,
you.
sir, go.
You didn't see him hitting any of the Waukesha South marching band, did you?
No, we were far down. We were I don't know how far that street is. We were eighth of a mile, quarter of a mile down.
Yeah.
We were already down in front of the Clark. That was past 5 Points, and we did have people that go to our church.
You were relatively close to the 5 Points where you were sitting, right? Though
We were in between 5 Points and what's that intersection where Steam and Cup is and
Clinton.
People's Park?
Clinton.
We were in between 5 Points and Clinton.
So you think you were in front of Nice Ash?
We were literally in front of Nice Ash. I
Ash.
looked back and Nice Ash was at our door, and the
Nice
Clark
Ash.
is in front of us.
Okay.
People's Park is to the left of us, back behind us, and Steam and Cup is right there. And then there's the wine place right in between. We were right in front of the awning for the Clark was like right here, right. I can look at it across the street from us. On the north end of the street.
You are. I don't know how many people I've talked to. But today it's interesting that you were on the same street with Jane, because I talked to her boss this morning. I talked to her coworker who was walking next to her, probably the woman that was saying her name's Jane.
I'm sure it was.
And I talked to her too, because I said, do you know, because she kept saying her name was Jane. I said, do you work with her? Can you have somebody you can call? Can you call somebody? Because she had her phone, because her phone was at her feet, because she had like a little crossbody purse.
Yeah.
And I was like, honey, she was hit really hard. Do you know somebody you could call?
Right.
Because she needs, to go.
And last night I was dealing with her husband, John.
That's it. John
He goes to our church.
And John goes to our church. In fact, my pastor a little while ago asked if he could. I still don't know how I feel about it. I told him, because Pastor Todd's going to talk to John tonight, and I said, just let her know that I got to pray for her. I don't know if she was there or not, honestly, Corey. I don't, but I did get to pray for her, and if that gave some comfort to, I don't know. I don't know if she was alive or not. I know she was. I know she wasn't breathing when we were doing compressions. I know that. If there was a brief moment before that, and I know her eyes were open.
Yeah.
They were not responsive.
Okay.
Because he checked for that, the paramedic or whoever that guy was, the off-duty guy. And I remember him closing her eyes, because we looked one moment, they were open, and then I saw him kind of close her eyes. I don't know who the guy was. There was another, I think she said she was a nurse.
Nurse.
The trauma nurse. She had a long black jacket, kind of blonde, about my age, and she switched off. She did compressions after I did, and then the paramedic did it. And then at that time, the fire department came up with AD, and he moved over to help them, and I took over the compressions on that, and then that was after that. But
Well, you think of all the people that were injured, all the people that were killed, but now I'm starting to look at you. I mean, you guys are emotionally scarred from this. the whole community's emotionally scarred by this.
Yeah.
I'm worried about her. His daughter is a little shaken up. Andrew's daughter, her name's Tammy. She's 5. And she saw blood. Sutton was there, and they were walking back towards his car. And Jason said that Sutton saw some blood, and he's like, "Oh, people just got hurt. They'll be okay." You know, and that she seems to be better. Cammie, he said, was crying last night, cried herself to sleep, but we saw her out a little while ago, and she was kind of playing and keeping her mind off of it. So
yeah.
Hopefully, I don't know.
I think you should talk to Jason.
I am going to.
I'm sure you talked to people that were down on that end, but I thought it was interesting because I saw the roof video, the unedited one, and I was like, oh, it was rough.
Well, you guys were kind of random. I got done talking to the supervisor this morning, the coworker just a little bit ago. I got back to the station. I asked, who's in charge of witnesses, who else needs to be talked to, and he said I can come talk to you guys.
Yeah.
So it's rather random at this point, but it's an interesting.
Well, we waited. We went back after we covered up the kids with the blankets and stuff to keep them warm. I went and stood up at the corner where we were supposed to stay, where the police told us to stay, to give your name and stuff. Well, if we need your first statement. So I went back to there, and she's like, "I want to go home. I want to go home."
Yeah.
And right at that point, the police officer said, "Hey, okay, we're good." I forget what he said.
He said if you don't have any family members here that are injured, please.
Yeah,
leave.
he said leave. So we did, and she wanted to go home at that point anyway. So I said,
I mean, we literally had 3 dead people in literally a block radius, where we helped the lady and she died and passed and died, whatever, and they took her away. They had the one granny that was on a gurney that they wrapped, and then the other granny was still in the road. When we left, they just left her there.
I didn't see the granny on the gurney.
I mean, she could have. I mean, there was so much, because I went up when they were originally doing whatever with her. There was so much blood. There was so much blood. And they just wrapped blankets on her. They just left her. Because at that point, they had to attend to the people who were still alive.
Yeah.
They had to help who they could, and they knew who they had to leave alone.
I called right away this morning. It was like first thing when I tried to get some sleep and stuff this morning. And I'm surprised that they were there. That I don't know what to do, but if there's anything you need or anything.
No, I appreciate you guys calling.
We can do. I don't know if it helps or not.
It does help. It does help.
He was coming at a good clip. I mean, I couldn't tell you exactly mile an hour. If I had to guess, it was between 30 and 40 miles an hour. He was moving, and it did look like he was. I want to say accelerated. I can't prove that. I can't say it, but it was. It was faster than what you should be normally doing down that street.
Right.
If there was any traffic out and through there, he was definitely moving.
Do you remember hearing the engine or anything like that? Any vehicle revving?
I did hear the engine revving, but I couldn't tell if it was accelerating or not, because I told Vera, I said, it sounded like he was, we were sitting there trying to process everything last night, and I was trying to go, okay, should I write stuff down?
I can't.
I couldn't tell if it was accelerating, if it was revving. I do remember hearing the engine. I will tell you that.
Yeah.
I will do that. I don't know if it was fast or slower. I can't tell you that.
Being as close as you guys were, but you had a lot to process, I am wondering, did you actually get to see the driver of the vehicle?
Didn't.
I couldn't even see. I didn't even see the color of the car.
Okay.
I didn't even see this type, the style, the color.
You're sitting down looking straight ahead.
I was looking to my left when the car came from my right.
Okay.
I was looking back at, laughing and la-da-da, and then all of a sudden he hit. I turned, and I was facing forward, and he hit her right in front of me, like inches from me, and
I was
it didn't seem real. It didn't. At first, we all thought, like when we talked to the people around us, we thought it was like some sort of a skit or a gig, or we didn't know.
I was looking. I didn't see the. I saw the car. I saw the balloon, the flame, not the balloon, but the actual flame, and I was like, oh, there it is. And then I just kind of looked down, and that's when I saw the car coming at me, and I saw the dent, but I didn't see inside the windshield or anything like that. I couldn't tell you
Okay.
who, what, when, or where. I know it's not much help, but
And you guys have been extremely helpful.
I can tell you that car, the passenger front on the hood and above that light and everything was dented in through there at that point before he got to us.
It was done
So
before that.
He must have smacked into something before then, or it was done before he got to the parade. I don't know, but I can definitely tell. And it was a good dent. I will tell you that it was a good sized dent. It was the whole hood, top of the hood part on the passenger side above the light. I don't remember if the light was broken or not, but I can tell you that the hood was dented.
Okay. Okay. No.
And he hit her with a thud. It was loud. It was, that will, like I said, that will haunt me. The thud. It was the bam. It was bad.
And seeing him run over her and watching her flop. I mean, it was like a rag doll. She was like a rag doll.
She went up in the air a good piece. I can tell you that.
Well,
Because I remember seeing her up in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Everyone's recollections about this is a little different. I mean, they all mesh together. They're all the same in some regards, but the details in some of the stories are not the same. And it doesn't mean it's just what someone else has been focusing on. You know,
Mhm.
You guys were extremely detailed. Thank you. But you know, her friend, you know, had a hard time describing the thud. You know. Then her supervisors saw the impact, so.
I'm worried about her husband.
Yeah, that was rough.
And especially since my pastor said he was at the third. I opened
Church
the door.
that morning.
I was at church. I'm the usher I'm the door greeter at church, and I remember him coming in. I don't remember her coming in that morning, but I remember him because he has kind of a unique. But I remember him, and it's like I just saw those guys that, and I didn't know who she was when we were trying to help, and I don't know if it was any help at that point, but.
Yeah, I'm looking at this as you guys were victimized by this too. And then the kids.
I'm worried about the kids.
That's what we're.
I mean, how can you ever have another parade like this?
Huh? We'll be fine 1 minute and then we just start bawling, and it's like we're fine, and then you just start bawling because your mind just keeps replaying it over and over and over, and you're trying to figure out like the reasoning and what's happening and what we saw, because I mean just the sights and the smells and just everything. Just everything, because you know the wind, it was so bad, and his
really
coffee
bad.
cup, he put his coffee cup down, and everything was going across the street, like people's chairs would catch wind and we're going, and he went to go after the coffee cup, and he's like, oh,
I'm not
just
kidding.
let
That
it
was
be, I'm not doing that, and that was
30
seconds.
30 seconds, maybe
Seconds
maybe
before.
15 seconds before that. My coffee cup blew across the thing, and I'm like, I'll leave it or whatever. I turned back and I said something to Dan, and then I looked, and then that's when I was looking for the thing, and then we saw him there. I mean, 15, 20 seconds, maybe my coffee cup blew across the thing. I was like, oh, that could have been really bad. But
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything else or anything you need from us?
Just some information regarding you guys as far as the names, dates of birth.
Your driver's license?
I don't need it. I can just take it.
Okay.
Thank you for allowing me to record it, though. I don't know if I would do it justice. Vera, V-E-R-A?
Correct.
Middle initial?
E.
And your last name again, I'm sorry.
Matthews, double T.
And your date of birth?
2/28/70.
Dale, your middle initial?
E, second group. Matthews. I'm the second. I don't know if that matters.
It does. And your date of birth?
6/9/71. 67. Do you want me to see if Jason is available to come over?
If you want to, that or I can walk over.
Let me see if he can come over.
This is
Here, 'cause I'm-
3532 River Valley Road, right?
Yes,
Let me do that because I don't want Sutton to have to hear that, to be honest.
the story, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want him to- let me see if he may not be home. He was home a little while ago.
What's his cell phone number that you guys can be contacted at?
262-333-9648.
Okay. Is that yours or is that
That's Dale's.
Dale's? Do you have a cell phone?
Yeah,
What is it?
it's out of state. 386 960
960
4483.
4483. Is that like a work phone or
So,
so?
the Florida number, we moved here from Florida several years ago.
You
I
did,
just never switched it.
you did the exact opposite most people do.
I know.
Why'd you do that?
Work,
Okay.
and we would never go back though.
You would never go back? Why?
It's beautiful here. The summer or the winter's long, but
Yeah.
you give stuff to get stuff.
Yeah. My my roommate from college, he retired down to Florida.
Mm.
Nope.
And
Keep it.
he spends his summers up here. He says you don't realize how good it is until you're gone for a while, and then so.
I could do the back and forth thing. I
Yeah.
could do that, but not all the time.
Hey Jason, my name's Corey. Just so you're aware,
Nice to meet you,
I'm doing an audio recording of the conversation.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just doing it because it's easier to document that
Yeah,
way.
sure.
So Gail was telling me that you were at like the beginning of the parade,
Close to White Rock. Yep.
close to White Rock.
Yep.
So what happened?
We were on the side where you see the pictures, the right side of the road. We're on that, whatever that's the north side, right?
North side is by the White Apartments. That's the Riverwalk Apartments, right?
Yeah, we're on that side.
Okay.
Across the street from that church,
Okay.
whatever that church is. The kids are out, obviously kids are out on the road. And we're
Yeah.
just watching the parade, and all of a sudden the car comes around, honks, and kind of veers and slows down for our kids,
Yeah.
and then kept on going. And then when I saw him, a cop was chasing him,
Right.
and that's when he really sped up.
Do you remember what the cop looked like?
No,
Was he dressed in a uniform or was he dressed like me?
I thought he was uniform.
Okay. Okay.
I can call Joe because he was with me.
Yeah.
We talked about it this morning because I remember seeing someone chasing him
Okay.
or chasing down the road after him.
So when he stopped for your kids, did he do anything else?
No,
Okay. Could you see inside the car?
I saw him. Yes.
Okay. What did he look like?
To me, I thought he was a darker, complected person. I couldn't tell what. I saw the beard,
Yeah.
and then I mean it goes so fast. I thought maybe it was like Hispanic or that type, but I couldn't tell.
Okay. Do you remember any clothing or anything like that he may have been wearing? No. Okay. Dale made mention that he may have flagged the kids across the street or something. Do you remember that or not? If it didn't exist, let's not.
I'm not gonna say for sure because
Okay.
yeah, I'm not gonna. All I remember is he did honk, and then he slowed down and veered to the left a little bit for the kids to come back to the sidewalk.
Yeah.
But then that's when he really took off after that.
He accelerated.
Yes, he accelerated. He stayed on that right side of the road. He just hugged the right side all the way down until I couldn't see him anymore.
Okay. Do you remember what portion or what, how do I put this? What was at your point of, trying to do the best to explain this. What was in the parade at that point where you were at? Do you remember?
All I know, there's about 1, 2, 3, 4 spots ahead of Santa, Mrs. Claus.
4 spots.
At least.
Okay.
Because we could see him around the corner, right? That's Santa and Mrs. Claus.
Okay.
They were just right. They were about ready to come. We're basically at the end of the parade, almost at the end.
The Waukesha South Marching Band, had they already passed you?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think they had passed you by a significant amount of time, or was it? Okay.
It's hard. I can't remember.
Yeah. I'm
It's
sorry.
hard. There's so many things that go by, and you're just sitting there talking, and obviously having fun. You just don't really realize.
Yeah.
Who went through or what time they went through.
Did you see him hit anybody?
I did not.
Okay.
That's why I thought it was really weird, because he could have smoked those kids. He could have hit those kids if he really wanted to, and he didn't. He did honk.
He honked his horn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well,
I know.
Well, it's actually important that you can remember that, because I mean, someone honks the horn, they're indicating they're well aware of what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like he's well aware of what he's doing. There's kids in the way, and he wants them to move, so he's honking his horn.
That's what I thought he was doing.
Yeah.
And my initial thought with my buddy, we were sitting there looking at him, because he did honk. He kind of veered off a little bit. He wasn't going real fast at the time.
Yeah.
Then, like I told you, then he accelerated. I thought he was, because he was hugging the right side, I thought he was going to go over off to one of those, side streets or whatever. I thought that's what he was intending to do.
When you say right side, you're on the north side of the road.
Yes.
You're by the apartments, the Riverwalk apartments.
Yep.
So he's closest to you?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And you have no idea at what point he may have gone to the other side?
No clue. He was on that right side for the longest time until I couldn't see him anymore.
Okay.
Maybe that's why I couldn't see him. Maybe that's why I veered off into the left or into the middle of the road, maybe. I don't know.
Did you think anything of it? Okay.
Should have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it sounds like it didn't make sense until the officer was chasing on foot.
Yes.
And did it look like when the officer's chasing on foot that he started to accelerate?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem,
can I just grab your information real quick?
Sure.
It's Jason.
Jason, yep. Hayes, Hayes. 414 213.
213.
Yep. 1311.
1311. Jason, middle initial?
M.
Your date of birth?
4577.
What's your address?
3536 River Valley Road.
Were you with the whole family?
I was just with my daughter.
Okay. That's not. That's Sutton.
Yeah, Sutton, yep. And I was with our friends Sarah and Joe Olson.
Okay.
If you want, I can call him if you want to talk to him just to verify what I said.
Do you have their phone number?
I do.
I don't have to verify what you said.
Okay, well, whatever. Yeah. What's his number? It's 414 839 3596.
3596. Okay. They live around here too, or?
Yeah, they live over by the neighbors, the bar, the neighbors.
Okay.
In that area.
Okay. In the town of Waukesha.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't get a really good description of the guy.
Well, that's
I didn't see him.
Yeah,
I didn't
I
see
saw. I just remember the beard, and I saw his complexion, and I can't even remember if he was what he was wearing.
when
too,
you mention the
whatever.
beard, and sometimes that's a focus that people kind of focus on. Do you remember anything particular about the beard?
No, it was. You know, it was I thought it was lower and sticking out like
Lower
this.
and sticking
Yeah.
out. So you think he kind of cut it down a little bit?
Seemed like it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah. Anything else about his hair?
No.
No. Okay. Well, it's
Did
hard.
not because where I was sitting, I mean where the car was and you know where the roof is, it's kind of hard to see where his head was.
Right.
I mean I saw the lower part of his face more
Yeah.
than I did the upper part.
Probably from here
Yeah.
down?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I just thought it was strange with all the reports now. I was like, he'd slow down and honk for our kids. He did. So, however you guys can take that, I don't know what.
I don't know what to
yeah,
take that
I
as.
know. I know.
I'm taking it as he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And then at some point, he just said, part of me, he just said, kind of screw it.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
That's what
Kind
we
of like,
we were saying at that point when he passed that turnoff.
He was
between
committed.
Discount and the other one. He went through towards what Al Chocolate and the things.
Yeah.
At that point, it was like he was committed.
He
At
was
that point,
committed. It was
he
like
was committed,
snowballing
is what
for
we
him, you
kind
know
of
what
said,
I'm
and he
saying? Yeah.
just went through. I don't know because he had the opportunity to turn off there, right? He could have went in front of Discount. He
That's
coulda
what I
went-
thought. He could have because there's a couple roads there you could turn
Yeah.
off to the right, right?
My thing is, did he not do it because of the barricades? Because there were police there?
I was thinking that too because those were all barricaded, right? Those roads.
Yeah. Typically,
So-
we barricade them because
Yeah.
we don't want people barreling through them.
Yeah.
They were barricaded up to the stoplights by Old Lot 12, just to the north of Discount Liquor.
Because the way he veered off and and then I thought he was right where those apartments are. There's a road right there, isn't
Yeah.
there? I thought he was just gonna go in that road, you know, off and to take a right there, but he just kept on going.
You know
straight.
what? You're now making a lot of sense as to what he's doing. So he's on the right side of the road because I think he's going to turn off a bar still.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought
By
he was
Discount
gonna do.
Liquor. He gets
Yeah.
there, it's barricaded, he can't go. So then he decides he's going to go to the other side of the road and turn off on Gasper. He gets there, he can't because of barricades.
Yes.
Now
Yeah,
he's
but I mean-
committed.
Now he's committed. Yes.
And that's at the point where the band was there too. If I
Mhm.
remember the video.
That's why I thought nothing of it at the time. I was like, he looks like. I said, if he's not doing that, he's just gonna stop because he's gonna be stuck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But apparently, he was stuck, and like you said, he was committed, and
That's such a hard word.
well, it is.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
So I was grateful that he did that for our kids. That's all. That's all I gotta say. Because he would have hit at least.
How many kids?
There was Sutton, Arthur, and the other kids. There was at least 5 or 6 sitting right there.
5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
And he hit 15. At least 15.
At least 15. Yeah.
One of my coworkers, his kid got hit.
Did he?
A broken leg. Yeah.
Because they were close. They were out
They
on the
were-
road
they
or
were near
whatever.
you guys.
Yeah.
There you guys. Another coworker. He was across the street.
I originally.
His daughter watched one of her friends get hit.
Right.
Yeah.
I originally.
Like I said, there's a lot of victims here.
Yeah.
Just varying degrees.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a long time to get that image out of your head of seeing her flip up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
And I was.
That in her eyes.
I was originally where they were, kind of in that area, and I met up with my buddies up there. I originally wasn't gonna go up there because it's such a long walk from where I was.
Yeah.
And my daughter's like, because she likes the little boy that you know, their little boy, and she's like, yeah, let's go hang out with Arthur. So it was. You never know what would happen if I would have stayed where I was instead of moving. You know what I'm saying? And he did honk and slow down and
I think
and helped out that way. So
Yeah, I think it. I think you're lucky.
I know.
Just by chance. Here's
Yeah.
my card.
Thanks.
Here's my card. If there's anything I can do or whatever, but thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk with me.
And hopefully it helps you out.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
Dale and Vera, I appreciate you guys stopping and trying to help.
Yeah. I've got family from all over the place, you know, texting, telling us, hey, you know, I hope the first responders are okay. And I'm like, you know, it's not really the first responders at this point. This is a great community. And
we were there a long time before they were, and I get it. There was a lot of hurt people there, but there was just people and nurses and stuff just helping everybody out.
Don't pray for us. Pray for you guys.
Carrying the backer boards and everything. It takes a lot of people to carry a person, and you can't put all paramedics on one backer board to carry somebody. So there was people all over, just carrying people all over, which is, if this is a sign that there still is kindness somewhere, you know, after seeing all that people do come together and still can help when you need.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.